Right, hey guys, I'm just setting it up to stream landscape because someone requested it. So I'm hoping that you guys can see everything. So I've got my board here. We're just making the buttercream, so if you weren't on yesterday's live, we are decorating a 6-inch cake, and it's an ombre cake this time rather than a striped drip cake. So all the buttercream's made. I'm just colouring it right now because I'm streaming a bit earlier than I did yesterday, so I did all the prep before I actually started the stream. But I've got the chat on my iPad this time, so it should be easier to respond to your questions. So whilst people are joining, I'm just going to start colouring this buttercream. The cake is white chocolate and raspberry rather than chocolate Nutella, so we're going to be starting with a white palette this time rather than using the brown from the chocolate buttercream. So it's all set up. It's so weird seeing it on my phone and on my iPad because I'm literally like watching myself. Right. So the buttercream is all ready, and we're just going to split it into half and half, and then we're going to colour one blue. One is going to say white because it's ombre, so I'm going to grab another bowl and then I'll come back to you. So I've got a bowl here. I'm just going to split it. Like most things, I'm just eyeballing this because I think it is the easiest way. So there we go. If anyone has any questions like yesterday, you literally just put them in the chat and I'll answer them as we go along. There will be times where it needs to go in the fridge, so when it goes in the fridge I can answer more questions as well. So, and what I do is I get a big pint glass and then I get my bag, and that's how I fill it. So like so, you just do that. So I'm going to be doing the white first just because it's already done. And this cake that I'm doing today, I've got a lot of free reign on. I've confirmed with the customer obviously that this is the kind of design that I'm going for, but he just says do whatever you want, you're the expert. So for your pictures of your website, is that an actual cake? What do you mean, the photos that are on the front page? All of the photos on my website are mine, and they're all like real cakes that I've made, yeah. And if you look on my Instagram, you'll see that some of them match my Instagram, so they're ones that I've also put on there. Right, so we've got the white ready, and the cake is currently in the fridge, all ready to go. We're going to have to make a little bit more buttercream for the board and also the top of the cake, but we're just doing the ombre, and then it'll go in the fridge once we've done the drip. I'm also going to be using a different method for the drip today because I mentioned that I sometimes do chocolate spread and then other times I do the chocolate with a dash of oil, and that's what I'm doing today because I don't need to stick any sprinkles to the drip, so I can do one that's going to go hard, whereas if you're sticking sprinkles to it then you need to make sure it's something that's going to stay a little bit watery. How am I not watching Saturday Night Takeaway? I don't know. I'm not really big on TV. Like, I like Netflix, but apart from that, I don't really watch much else. Yeah, I don't actually know what that is. Is it like a game show or something? That's to Harry. Yeah, I've never watched it. And these are the two colours that I'm using, same as yesterday. So it's the navy, which is Pro Gel, and then the colour Splash Light Blue. We're just gonna mix it all together. So I'll lift it up so that you can see. And again, I'm just winging it for anyone that asks, because people always kind of wonder, like, do you put a specific amount in? I just get it until it's at the point where I like it. So I'm just going for a light blue along those lines. And the navy gives it more of a deeper tone, because sometimes the light blue colour splash can go a bit neon-y, and it ends up looking a bit funny. Right, I'm going to add a little bit more navy, I think. As you can see, it's still quite light. And I do most of my colouring when it comes to having multiple colours. I do most of like the mixing by hand, just because it's easier. It's a show that Ant and Dec do where they do challenges and give people prizes. Yeah, I've never watched it. I like Ant and Dec. I've watched their other stuff, like, what is it? The jungle one. I can't remember what it's called. I'm a Celebrity, that one. I watched that, and like things like Strictly, but apart from that, I'm not that big on TV. For anyone that would be into it, I loved the Celebs Go Dating Mansion. That was my favourite. Yeah, I'm a Celeb, get me out of here. I love that. So, I think we're almost there. That navy just gives it a little bit more of a darker tone. And then when you mix it with the white, you're going to get an ombre anyway, of like some lighter colours, some darker colours, because naturally when you're mixing it with white you will. Right, so there we go. So it's kind of like a teal colour. So we're going to do the same. We're going to get the glass, and I'm going to get one of my piping bags. Please excuse the mess in the background. I'm getting new drawers for storage because I've already outgrown this current area. Right, so my bags are really big, so we're going to cut them. Do I deliver to Hertfordshire? I do. It depends what it is. I don't deliver outside of kind of Aylesbury locally if it's something small, but for cakes I do. So yeah, cakes I will drive up to like 50 miles. Obviously delivery is charged based on how far away it is. But yeah, anything that is a cake can be delivered, because Hertfordshire is kind of also included in Buckinghamshire, where I'm based. So some places that are in Hertfordshire are also in Buckinghamshire, basically. So yeah, I do. I don't know if that was just a general question or whether you were interested in something, but feel free to look on my website. Right, we're just filling this up. And yeah, like I said, the cake is in the fridge, so we'll get that out in a minute. It's just crumb coated. So it's all plain, whereas yesterday it was a little bit further on than this one is. And when you're doing this with the glass, you just shimmy it each time until it eventually like falls into the glass, and then you can. Right. How much do I charge for cake delivery, and what's my system for figuring it out? So it's based on mileage, because that's the kind of only way that you can measure it, because it's how far away someone is. So so yeah, I base it on that. So I charge, I think it's 40p a mile, and it's there and back. Some people charge for the hourly rate, so like if it takes you an hour to get there, then they charge like £10 for that hour. But I don't bother doing that, just because I think that the petrol is enough to cover it. And depending on how much the order is, I mean, I've had orders where they're like £100, so if I'm charging £5 delivery, like it's a big order anyway, so I don't mind doing it. I was wondering whether to get you to make the cake or whether I should, but I'm not that experienced. I mean, you could do a couple of practice rounds, and if you like it, then obviously you can make your own, but if you wanted me to make it, I'd be happy to. But yeah, feel free to message me on Instagram, because that's where I take most of my bookings, and then we can talk about it if you want, even if you just show me designs of what you want. So, we have the cake. Because it's white chocolate, the crumb coat is white. So I'm going to pan you down so that you can see the cake a bit better. There you go. So we have our 2 bags of buttercream. Just waiting for it to pop off my phone because someone came up on there. Do you think it's worth using Uber to deliver baked goods for those who don't drive, or would it just be too expensive? I'm not sure about how expensive it would be. I personally don't trust Uber drivers or taxis, like not anything towards them, but I am very like protective of my cakes in general. So even when a customer comes and collects, I'm always like, right, you definitely need to put it in the footwell, you need to make sure your aircon's on, and I kind of make sure that they understand because I don't want it on their lap and getting damaged. So I just wouldn't trust that it would get there safe. So yeah, I just worry about it too much. So that's why I wouldn't do it. But if you could trust that you would let them take it there and it would get there safe. And again, like with customers, they give me an update when they get home. Whereas with an Uber driver, I don't know whether they would do that. So yeah, obviously if I deliver it, I know what's going on with the cake. And if the customer takes it home, then they'll give me an update either way. But yeah, it's completely up to you. I'm currently making a cake. I'll send you a pic on Insta once I'm finished. Lemon and raspberry. Oh, that sounds good. That's so cool that we're making a cake at the same time. Yeah, you'll have to send me a photo so I can have a look. My one from yesterday went up this evening. So I posted that. The customer was really happy with it. She collected it today. So that's been posted on my Instagram if you want to go and look at the final look with like the cake topper and everything, because I didn't have the cake topper ready. But tonight's one, I've got the topper ready, so we will be able to see that at the end when it's all finished. So with this, I'm literally just blotching it on, as you can tell. So you just put it on randomly in different places until it's full. So there's no real technique to this, you literally just splotch it on. And obviously you can add as many or as little colour as you want. You can do more than 2 colours, but because I'm doing a white and blue cake, I'm just doing the 2. But I've seen some people where they have multiple, maybe like 4 or 5 colours, so you can definitely add more. You're taking inspo from the cake I made for my mum. Love the pink and white frosted mix. Yeah, that's pretty much the same as tonight's, but tonight's is blue. So it will be that same like ombre kind of look. I absolutely love that cake. That's why I suggested it for this customer, because they were letting me take the reins with it. So I just picked that one because I really liked how it turned out. I'm a little bit worried that we're going to run out of buttercream. That was me, obviously, measuring the amount that I needed wrong, so we might have to do a little mix up in a minute. We will see. Have you ever made ice cream cake? I've heard about this. I think it's very popular in LA because of the heat. I've seen a lot of like videos, especially on TikTok, where people make ice cream cakes and they look really cool, but I've never made one. I do really want to try it because I think it would be very interesting to see how that turned out. And it would be something that you could make in the summer and it would last. Right, so we've run out of buttercream. I honestly don't know how, but I'm gonna make some more. So this is just gonna sit here. It's been in the fridge for like 5 hours, so it's perfectly fine to sit at room temperature. So I'm just gonna start weighing stuff out. So if you have any questions, now's the time, because I'm gonna be looking at the screen. So I'm just gonna measure out my butter and my icing sugar. I'm using silver spoon, which means that there's gonna be lots of icing clouds, because it is it just turns to dust when you mix it, which is one thing that I don't like about it. So I've got a brand new packet, and it's a 500-gram one, and I actually need 400 grams, so pretty much all the packet is going to be gone by the end of it. The only thing that's good about silver spoon that I do like is that you don't have to sieve it, because it is already very light and not clumpy or anything, not like what do you call it, Tate and Lyle, that's usually solid. Do you ever decorate with meringue buttercream? I've never tried it. I'm waiting until I get a bit of free time, like a few days off or something, because I wanted to try the Swiss meringue, which I think is what you're on about. Yeah, because a lot of people say that it's really good, so I want to try Swiss meringue, but I haven't been able to have the chance yet. But I don't know what people's thoughts are on it. Most people that I speak to just use American buttercream, which is literally just butter and ice and sugar, but some people prefer the Swiss meringue, so I don't know what the general like consensus is on it, but I've never tried it, so I've absolutely got no idea whether it's any good or not. I'm just cutting my butter because it's been in the fridge, so I'm going to put it in the microwave so that I can mix it nice and easy. So I just cut it into smaller pieces, like so, and then it means that it will melt quicker. So I'm going to be moving to the microwave in a minute, but it only takes about 40 seconds, so it won't be very long at all. Do people prefer the earlier live? Because I know that a lot of people liked the later one yesterday. I started at about 9 or 10, whereas today I'm starting at 7:30, so it's a lot earlier. So I don't know if people prefer that or not. I don't really mind when I do it because I'm baking all evening, so I don't mind doing it later. Right, I'm going to go and microwave this. I will literally be back in about 45 seconds. Right, Sarah Bakes, hi, are you just joining? So we're making a 6-inch drip cake, and I'm just making a little bit more buttercream. So I've got the butter here, which I've just melted a little bit, and I've got my ice and sugar, so we're just going to be mixing it all together. Right. And that's another thing about buttercream, it is so messy, but it is the nicest thing ever at the same time. It tastes amazing, but it is so messy to make. So I'm doing this by hand because if I do it by the machine you won't be able to hear a thing. So I'm just folding it all into each other. So if anyone has any questions now, and then we're going to be smoothing the ombre, and then we'll be doing a drip. I haven't decided what chocolate I'm putting on it yet. It's got a few alcohol bottles on it, same as yesterday's, which I will be attaching, maybe one on the board, and then the rest will be on the top of the cake. You don't mind when I do it? Oh, that's fine, okay. I'm definitely going to be doing one every Friday, I think, just because I like doing them, it's quite fun. So I'm going to do them every Friday, and then what I'll do is I'll pick a time and I'll schedule it so that you get a notification saying when I'm going live, and then you'll know. So this is taking ages because I'm doing it by hand. What I'm going to do is, now that I've done a rough mix, I'm going to shove it in the machine and quickly whiz it round because it will be a lot quicker for you guys especially. So just got my KitchenAid bowl, and I'm just emptying it all in there. food colouring brand do I prefer? I like Pro Gel and Colour Splash. They're my main favourites. Sorry, I'll quickly mix this and then I can reply because it's so loud. I'm blurry. Right, so that's mixed. Is anyone else seeing me as blurry? I'm on the live, like watching myself so that I can see the quality and everything. Yeah, I think it's usually what thing you're using, whether you're, I'm on 480p, which isn't very high. Now I've switched it to 720 and it's better, so yeah, maybe try switching the quality. You sent me a picture of your husband's cake. Ah, cool. I will have a look at it after the live because I'm using my phone to do the live, so then I won't be able to do the live. But yeah, food colourings, I prefer Pro Gel and Colour Splash. I do have a few Colour Mill for chocolate, which is the only thing that I'm going to be using it for. I won't be buying Colour Mill probably for buttercream. But these are the two that I have. Excuse the hands, I've got navy all over me. Right, I'm going to go and get the chocolate so that we can add the white chocolate into the buttercream. Right, I'm back, and that should be the last time, hopefully, that I disappear. So yeah, hopefully I'm not blurry anymore. My Wi-Fi isn't great anyway, so I can't really tell in terms of my quality, because it's never that great. But for you guys, it should be a bit better if you're watching in 720. So I've got my chocolate that's melted, and we're going to be adding it to the buttercream. So I'm going to get this out of the mixer. Just grab my spatula and clean it off a little bit. Is everyone's quality better now? Right. I'm still blurry. I'm sorry, I don't know if it's my Wi-Fi or if it's just the quality. I'm still blurry. Hopefully it gets a bit better as we go on with the video. Yeah, it's either my Wi-Fi or your guys, I'm not really sure. It's probably mine, but unfortunately I can't do too much about that. Right, I'm just mixing the buttercream. It's really stiff because when you do white chocolate, you have to do a lot of icing sugar to butter ratio because you're going to be adding the white chocolate. So there it is. And then we're just adding the white chocolate in there. You see me perfectly. Oh, that's good. That's the main thing. As long as some people at least can see me, then that's good. And like yesterday, I'm going to be using my Finch Bakery scraper to do this. So we just need a standard straight scraper, so you don't necessarily need to have a Finch Bakery one, but those are the ones that I always use just out of habit. I've got about 3 or 4 of theirs. Again, if you want to see anything that I use, like literally just ask and I'll show you. So if you want to see any scrapers that I have, then let me know. So I'm going to add a little bit of the colour mill, just the white one, just to whiten it up a little bit. And then we will be on to icing. Right, here we go. So I'm going to get my glass again, and then get a bag from over here. So this is just a roll of bags that I use. So I just cut off the excess because I know I don't need it. And then the same as before, I just put it over the glass, like so. Am I making ganache? No, so this is just white chocolate buttercream, so that's why I need the white chocolate in there, because it's white chocolate and raspberry flavoured. So that's what I'm doing currently. So you use melted white chocolate, butter and icing sugar, and that's how you make white chocolate buttercream. I don't actually use ganache at all, because I don't use cream in any of my bakes, just because it's a lot easier to store a cake when it doesn't have cream. I don't know if anyone knows about this because I mentioned it in one of my videos before, but when you get your health inspection, they ask you whether you use cream, because you have to make customers aware so that they store it in the fridge, because cream is a more like high risk product. So you have to keep it in the fridge. You can't leave it to come to room temperature, whereas a cake you can leave it at room temperature. They advise not longer than 4 hours for things with cream in, I think it is. So we've got our bag. I'm just going to move this, and I'm just smoothing it so that I can then twist it and start piping. And like we did before, I'm literally just gonna splatter it, so I'll move this forward a bit more. So I'm just putting a few bits of white in with the blue that was already in there. So you just want to make sure that every gap is filled. Even if there is loads of icing on here, it will all smooth out and you'll end up getting a nice even layer. Also, sorry I can't have any music. I did want to put music on while I was decorating, but because I'm monetized on YouTube, they copyright it, and yeah, so you can't have any music, which is unfortunate. But if you guys have like questions or just want to chat on here, then feel free, because we can't have any music. So it's almost filled all of the gaps, and we have plenty of icing left, so we'll have enough for the top as well. So I'm just going around the edge at the top so that we can pipe that. I don't do too much on the top of the cake because when you put a drip on, that hides the whole top of this, so you just have to really buttercream the edges of the top so that you can't see any cake. Right, I think that is all of it covered. Just filling a few little gaps. Right, I think that's pretty covered. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's annoying about the music. That's why I mentioned about TikTok lives. So if people, you can only do a TikTok live if you have 1,000 followers. So if people have TikTok and they want to see lives on there, because I can do that, because it won't be saved like YouTube is saved, then it doesn't need to be as like organized. I can just do it whenever. So, but I don't have enough followers on there to do that, so you have to wait until you have 1,000. So, and I'm way off that, so when I get to 1,000 I'll start doing TikToks on there as well. I'm just going to wipe down my scraper and then I'll be back. Right, scraper is all wiped. So the moment of truth, obviously if there's areas where there's too much blue or too much white, then you just go in and add more little splotches on there and then it will all even out. So we just have to try and get the main coat smoothed because it will be really thick. So you just go round and scrape it off. And then you want to scrape off any excess from your spatula, because if it has any on there then it will just get clogged up. How do I promote my cake business to other people? I just post a lot, if I'm honest. I think YouTube has been a big help for me because it's got me noticed by other bakers, but also just sort of the average person. But yeah, I think lots of posts on Instagram, being relevant and like doing current things, like things that are popular, because the thing is with things like Instagram and Facebook, people want to see you on there every day, and if you have like weeks where you don't post anything, people are just going to be like, well, are they still working, are they still trading? Whereas if there's someone that they can go and watch every single day and like look at their photos and there's something new every day, then they're going to pick them. So I would just say consistency is key, basically. It's so important to be posting regularly, to be trying new things, constantly keeping people interested, because as soon as you stop posting, and like even stories and stuff as well, like I post a lot on stories just so that if someone isn't looking at my posts, then they're looking at my stories. It's one or the other, you know. So these are so simple to do because obviously it all just blends out and then it's basically done. But I love the effect of these ombre cakes. I'm going to pan you down a little bit more so you can see it. So this is my second time doing this. The one I did before was the pink one that I did. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know. But yeah, this time I'm doing blue. If you're under 18, how do you get registered? So you would have to get your parents to register for you, so it would still be in your name, so you would be the kind of owner of the business, but you would just have to get them to register for you. And also it's likely that if you are under 18, you're living in their house anyway, so that means that they can sort of deal with all of the formalities like that. But it's still free, it's still sort of easy to do, so I would definitely, if you're considering it, recommend just doing it, because even if it's just a hobby, it's so simple. For anyone new joining, we're decorating a drip cake, so it's an ombre drip cake, as you can see, so I'm just scraping it down. My TikTok is just the same as this, so it's just Sweet Things by Amy, and it will have the same logo. That's how you'll know it's me, because it's got the same logo of the person. So I'm just going to fill this gap. But yeah, if I'm honest, in regards to like the registering when you're young, I wish that I had started earlier, because there's someone that I know, if anyone's into bakers, I say this all the time, but Bakerholics, she's 19 and she's just got her own shop. She recently announced it in the past couple of days, and that is like amazing to me. I would love to have my own shop. I think it's great, and yeah, it's so exciting for her. And especially because she's so young, like she started so young and kind of got into it all. So yeah, I would love to have got into it younger. So what's your buttercream? It's American buttercream, so most of the time it's pretty much 2-to-1 ratio, so you just use half as much butter as you do actual icing sugar, and that's the only 2 ingredients that you have to have. Everything else is optional. You know, it's optional to use water, it's optional to use milk. Do you need to bake in a separate kitchen than you cook from? No, you don't. So you can run your business from the same kitchen. So for landlord permission, yes. So I'm assuming landlord is if you're renting. So for renting, you need their permission, and then for if you own the house, then you just ask your mortgage provider. But most of the common ones, you know, ones that are like banks or building societies, rather than ones that kind of aren't household names, the ones that are typically known, people like Barclays, they will allow you if you own your house. But yeah, landlords you would have to ask, because they might not want you running a business out of their home. So it's difficult. What do I do with excess buttercream? I usually make things with it, so you can do like cake pops, which uses the excess cake and the excess buttercream in the same sort of sitting. So yeah, I usually do cake pops, and you mix the cake that's already cooked with buttercream, and then you put it in a mold which you've poured chocolate into, and then it makes a cake pop. So I will be doing some tutorials on cake pops, because I have some molds coming out. So I actually did some promos today of the first mold that I have. I don't know if I have it here. I think it's over there. I'll get it in a little while, but yeah, I got the first mould a couple of days ago, so I will be doing some promos with those so that you can see, and I'll be doing like YouTube tutorials on it, and then I'll be selling the moulds because I now have a supplier, so it means that you can then buy the moulds and practice them yourself using the tutorial that I do. So it kind of helps people out both ways because it provides you with the mould and also with the how to do it. Or you, if you want to, with buttercream, you can freeze it. I've never done it, but you can freeze buttercream, but I never had any left over or never enough to feel the need to freeze it, but that's definitely an option, especially if it's white, because then you can colour it. But obviously if it's not white, then you want to make sure that you've got something to use it for, otherwise it will end up staying in your freezer for ages. So I'm just smoothing out the top. I'm going to go round again on the sides because there's a few little rough edges, but the great thing about drip cakes is most of it is covered by the drip, which means that you can have the odd imperfection. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. So yes, we're going to go around one more time. So, and then just any little holes you just fill with more buttercream and then just go over it again. So there's a little one here. And yeah, I think I answered that one about the separate kitchen. You don't have to. You can use all the same oven, everything. You don't have to have a separate space. If you're under 18 and just starting your business, what's the first thing you would do? I'm trying to start a business, I have no idea where to start. It is really daunting to know whether you've like covered everything, and there are kind of so many different things that you want to do. I would say number one is get some recipes in order, because you wouldn't want to kind of register and then realise that you don't actually enjoy it, or you're not ready yet, because when you register then they then arrange to come out to your house and do the inspection. So I think it's nice if you have all of your recipes and paperwork ready before that point. So I would, number one, understand what you're wanting to do with the business, set yourself some goals, you know, like whether you want to do just cakes, cupcakes, all of that jazz. So yeah, get that in place. Get your recipes, have a few plans in terms of what you're going to be making and how it's going to run, whether it's full-time, part-time, what hours you're doing. And then when you feel like you've got a bit of a portfolio and you kind of know what you're doing with the business and whether it's even going to become a business, then I would say register. And that, even if you haven't got your paperwork ready by the point that you actually register, they don't come for about a month to inspect you, so by that point it will give you a little push to sort out all the paperwork and everything. So yeah, right, so the ombre is done. So we're going to put that in the fridge so that it can stand for a little bit in there and set, and I'll answer a few more questions, and then we'll melt the chocolate for the drip. Slide it off of my little non-slip mat. Right, so let's answer a few more questions. So I covered the under 18 one. You're a beginner cake maker and 16, you charge £5 per hour. Is this too low? I would say kind of no matter what age you are, I would say at least minimum wage. So for someone that's 16, I think the minimum wage is quite low, because I remember when I had an apprenticeship it was quite low. So I think it was like £4 or something. So that's at least the kind of lowest that you want to be charging. But I would look it up and see what you can charge as a 16-year-old. In terms of being a beginner baker, as long as you're registered, then you can charge. I am going to do a video on this to kind of clarify, because I do get a lot of messages about not being registered and selling. But yeah, you can't sell anything if you're not registered. Like, sell as in charge money other than ingredient costs. So but yeah, I don't think £5 is too low. I mean, I consider myself a professional, not like necessarily a beginner anymore, and I only charge £10 now, which is low for my skill, but that's my current wage, I guess. That's what my prices are kind of at the point where I like them, I get orders from them. I don't want to change them yet, but in April I will be changing them, because once you start paying tax and stuff like that, every year you should inflate your prices. So in April I'm going to inflate my prices. I did it with all my postals already, so I'm going to do it with my actual cakes and everything as well, so that they'll be inflated, and then every year you put them up, so that it gradually gets to a point where as your business gets older and you've got more experience, then you get paid more. So yeah, I'm currently renting, praying my landlord will grant permission. I mean, most, I can't see why they would have an issue with it, but obviously some might not. It's more of like a high horse thing. Like, I think most of them, they either don't have the insurance, which is a genuine reason not to let you, because they don't have the insurance to cover you to run a business, but the other reason is that some of them might just say no because they don't want it. And I'm not sure whether it's something to do with, obviously you're running a business from their business, because them being a landlord is their business, because they get rent. So I think some don't like to do it, but I can't see why not. So hopefully they do grant you permission, because that is the worst thing. That's one thing that when I move out, I definitely need to consider, if I don't have a shop by that point, is having, oh, VRL, I'm actually doing your cake. So you're watching me do your cake. You haven't seen it yet because it's in the fridge. I don't know if you've been watching. The person that I'm doing the cake for is on the live, if anyone hasn't gathered. Yes, the buttercream is blue. It's blue and white. What hand/stand mixers do you recommend for beginners? I can't really be that objective on that one. So I have a KitchenAid, and I bought that a month after I started, just because I like KitchenAid and I knew I always wanted one. I mentioned this on yesterday's live, but Kenwood are really good. The Kenwood Chef, or there's another one, it's about £400. That's the more advanced one, and then there's also a £250 Kenwood, which you can also use. But I personally love KitchenAid, but that's just me, and I also like the fact that it's an all-in-one appliance. I can add extra things to it for like general kitchen use, and then I can also use it for baking. So for those of you that aren't familiar with KitchenAid, they have all of the pasta makers, vegetable cutters that you can add onto the machine, whereas other mixers might not necessarily have that. So yeah, I personally would say, if you have the money, invest in a KitchenAid or either a Kenwood, because it's something where if you spend £200 on cheaper mixers and then you buy a KitchenAid or a Kenwood in 6 months, then you could have put that £200 towards the £500 KitchenAid, and then it would make it a lot cheaper. So it just depends if you're planning to get one in the future. If you're not worried, then I would say Kenwood. The Kenwood Chef, I think, is a good one, so I would probably go for something along those lines. I know you start streaming at 7, but I've only started watching it. Yeah, I was meant to stream at 7, and then I had to go to the shop, so then I made it 7:30. I'll get it out and quickly show you so that you can see what it looks like now before we put the drip on it. So this is what it looks like so far. It's the blue and white ombre, and then we'll be putting a milk chocolate drip on it and chocolates and the bottles that you gave me. So yeah, this is what it looks like so far, and it's just currently setting in the fridge. Also, while that's in the fridge, I'm just gonna show you the toppers that I made. So I'm gonna do a covered board. So it's gonna be buttercream covered board. If you've ever seen Finch Bakery cakes, they always cover the board in buttercream. So I'm gonna pipe different styles on it, and then I've got a little name tag to just stick in the buttercream. So that's gonna go on the board. It's way bigger than expected. You need to invite more people. Yeah, it's 6 inches, quite big. 6 and 8 inch cakes are quite big, but they are really tasty. So I'm sure that you'll eat it even if there's not enough people. And they last 2 to 3 days, so you can just eat it for days after your birthday, so it's fine. And then this is the happy 29th birthday topper. So this will go on the top, that's why it's got a stick in it. And then this one doesn't need a stick because it's just got, it's gonna go in the buttercream on the board. So yeah, but I'm gonna melt the chocolate now, and then we're gonna do the drip. I haven't had dinner yet, so I'm gonna be having dinner late tonight. So we are using milk chocolate for the drip, and I'm gonna use a whole pack. And then what I do is I add a dash of oil. So this is like one of the ways that you can do a chocolate drip. You can either do chocolate spread, but I wanted to show you how I do it using this. So yeah, we're gonna do that, and then you add a tiny bit of oil. Literally, when I say a dash, you kind of eyeball it. That's how I do it anyway. It's not really a measurement, but it's probably roughly between half a teaspoon and a teaspoon, depending on how runny you want it, because the oil is what makes it runny. So I use vegetable oil, and as you can see, there's so little used because I literally just do a dash. But yeah, we're gonna melt the chocolate. So I think I might take you over to the microwave with me. So I'm just gonna unplug you. How do I make my signs? Equal Amy plus monster equals big blue cake. Yes, it does. I need a monster to get me through because I've been very, very busy. So I actually just like the taste of Monster as well. Like sometimes it's not necessary that I need the energy, but I just like the taste of it. So how do I make the signs? These are done on a Cricut. If you would like to see a tutorial, please let me know because I have a couple to make next week. So I'll make them in advance and then I'll do a little tutorial. But yeah, you do it on a Cricut and you do a little design on the computer and then it prints it out for you. So you just put a piece of card in and it's got a blade in the Cricut machine. There's loads of tutorials on YouTube, but if you want to see me do one, then feel free to ask and I'll add it to my list. But yeah, it has a blade and you just design it and then it will cut it out for you. It's really easy and I've got really quick at them now. Like those literally took me about 5 minutes to make. My mum is well impressed because it's actually her Cricut that I use. And like she bought it and everything, but I use it. So yeah, it's really easy to use. So I absolutely love it. So we're by the microwave. I'm going to start melting the chocolate. Thank you, that's very helpful. Love your videos, by the way. Thank you. Yeah, I have a normal video coming up tomorrow. Because I have the day off, I've just got VRL's collection of this cake. So I've got the day off. So I have 1 brownie tray. No, 3 brownie trays to make for Monday postals. But that doesn't take very long, so I'll do that in the afternoon. So in the morning I'm going to be filming a video and I'm planning to do a how to get customers one. Obviously I talk about it a little bit, but I'm going to try and give you a few options and talk about like advertisements, like paid ones, because things like Etsy ads and Facebook ads, they all cost money. And some of them aren't worth it. So I'm going to be talking about that and I think a lot of people get caught on the Facebook ads because they look really good, but a lot of the time they don't do too much unless you pick the right things, and even I don't use them. So I wanted to talk about how to get customers and like organically getting them as well. So that's going to be tomorrow's video, and then I've got another one on my list. The one I wanted to do after that, which will be coming Tuesday next week, is about the registering or not registering. And this is because I am getting so many questions about registering. I'm going to move away from the microwave because it's so loud. But yeah, I get so many questions about registering and like whether they can do it on the sly. And I don't want to recommend anyone to do that because I personally wouldn't do it. So that's why I wanted to do a video on it, just so that I can kind of talk you through the kind of consequences of it, because there's been lots of like reports in the news and stuff about unregistered bakers, and as soon as we come out of lockdown they're gonna sort of crack down on them a lot more and kind of give you a telling off, and you can get fined for being unregistered. And that isn't to say that if something went wrong, like if someone had an allergic reaction and then you got found out as not being registered or insured, it might be a worse fine at that point. But this is just if they find out that you're not registered and you're selling. So, and registering is free, so that's why I wanted to do a video on that. My crumbs always crumble so much during crumb coat, even after refrigerating it overnight. So you want to make sure that you're cooling the cake for plenty of time, because cakes will crumble if they're cut too early. So I leave mine for about 2 hours. Yeah, I bake mine and then I leave it for about 2 hours before I do anything with it, so it can cool perfectly. And then I come back and crumb coat it. I do the filling, so in between each of the layers. I don't do the outside, and then I shove it back in the fridge for half an hour so that it doesn't wobble. This is mainly on 6 and 4 inch cakes. Anything above that you don't need to do that because it doesn't wobble. It's only if they're tall and thin. And then I do the outside, and I've never had it crumble. Also, I would say lining your tins. So if you don't line the edges of your tin, then you may get crumbs, because where you're cutting it away from the tin to get it out of the tin that the cake tin that you're baking it in, that's when it starts to crumble. So I would say make sure you're lining your tin with plenty of like oil or butter, whatever you're using. But I line around the sides as well as the base, because otherwise it can end up making you have to kind of cut it off of the tin, which can create even more crumbs. As soon as you start cutting it, it's then difficult. And also doing a really thick layer of crumb coat, because you can always scrape it off. So you want to do a big layer and then scrape more of it off rather than the other way around. Just closing my kitchen door because someone opened it. So yeah, I would say line your tins, leave with plenty of time. Do you line the sides of your tin with parchment paper or just butter? So I use the butter to stick it to the actual tin, to stick the paper to it, and then yeah, I line it with parchment paper. So I have pre-cut sheets for the base of the tin, which I'll show you in a minute, and they're pre-cut circles. I ordered them off eBay and they're already done to the size of the tin, so I get 6, 8 and 4 inch. So I buy those pre-cut, and then the outside one I literally just rip it off a roll and cut it. So yeah, that one's already pre-cut, and I use those to line the tins. If you're chilling the cake, would you say that the cake gets cold, or is it just room temperature? It's just room temperature. I put it on a wire rack. I have these stackable wire racks. I don't have one behind me, but yeah, they're like a 3-tier stackable rack, and it's wire, so that allows the hot air that is in the cake to go out the bottom of it and also through the top and the sides. Because if you leave it in the tin to cool, then when the air wants to come out of the bottom of the cake, which is going to be the hottest, because that's where the main part of the tin is, because you have the sides and the bottom of the tin, then when the air wants to come out the bottom and it's really hot, it's just going to condensate. So you want to make sure that you take it out of the tin reasonably early, otherwise you're going to end up with lots of condensation, and then that makes the cake wet and yeah, not nice. So you want to make sure you take it out soon so that you don't have any issues with it cooling. So I give it about 10 minutes in the tray once it's come out of the oven, just so that it's not burning hot when I try and get it out. And then yeah, I just put a glove on and I tip it upside down. And if you've lined the tin all the way around, it means that it's also very easy to get out of the out of the tin, because it's all lined. Whereas if it's not lined, then it's going to stick to the tin and then you're going to struggle to get it out of the tin. So the lighting is a lot brighter over here. I'm going to pan you down again. So I'm going to move these because we don't want them getting dirty. So I have my chocolate. It may look runny, but this is not runny enough, because as soon as you put it on a cold cake, then it's going to start to harden because the cake is cold. So we're going to put the dash of oil in now. In terms of cake tins, I always use PME or PME lookalikes, if that makes sense. So what you do is you go onto Amazon or eBay and you type in PME tins, and any that come up that aren't PME are also fine, because they'll be the same style of tin. So it means that they're the nice deep silver tins. I will get one in a minute just to show you. So, oh. Sorry guys, we fell off of the stand. The stand is a little bit iffy. The little holder that I've got it in isn't great. So, I'm hoping that this stays. No. So, we're not going to be using the stand anymore. We're going to be propping it up. So, what can we prop it up on? This is going to be difficult now. I usually use a tripod, but obviously it's fallen off, so we're going to be improvising with this. So I'm just moving you around so you get a better view. Move everything out of the way. And then I'm going to move the board over here. So, if a friend is asking just for a cake, would you need to be registered even if you don't want to make it a business, just a thing for random occasions? You can get away with it, I'm going to be honest. Like, if you're just doing it for a friend, then you can. Obviously, I wouldn't say that you could charge full price, especially if you aren't registered, because, I mean, you might be very good at baking, but usually when you start out, you've got a little bit to learn and your cakes might not be up to the best standard. So when I started, I was charging less than I do now, so you would be charging less anyway if you're not registered. So I guess it depends on your skill, but yeah, you could make them one and ask for a tip, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend it on a regular thing. Like, you could make them on occasion, but as a regular thing, like say a couple of times every couple of months, then people might start to notice. And it's not so much like, I obviously don't mind, but it's other bakers, because especially with all the lockdown bakers that are coming up at the moment, some people get jealous, and also people just get annoyed that they're a registered baker and you might not be, so they might then report you. So that's the difficulty, it's knowing if someone's going to report you. There's also been bakers that I know where they are fully registered and they've been reported because someone thought that they weren't registered. So yeah, it can happen to literally anyone, you can't be sure. Where do you buy your cake boxes and materials? I'm not sure where I should order mine from. So I've done a couple of hauls where you can see the actual boxes and the quality of them and everything, which is the Cake Decorating Company. So if you look for those hauls on my channel, then you'll see them and you'll see like what boxes I get and everything, because that is the best place. I think they're really reasonable, and especially when you're buying in bulk, they're really good. So I'm gonna get the cake out of the fridge and we're gonna start dripping this. You're also baking as I watch. Feels like we're baking together. Oh, that's so nice. I love that people bake at the same time as me. I'm just gonna wash my hands so that I can then start doing the drip. So I'll be back. Right, so hands washed. That's food colouring, so that won't be coming off for a few days, unfortunately. But yeah, all washed, and I'm going to get the cake out the fridge. Where do you register? You go onto the Gov UK website. I'm assuming you're in England, so that's where you go to register. And it's free, and you just register. You say what type of business you are, what you're making, all your personal details like your name, address, phone number, all of that. And then they will send you a confirmation saying that you've registered, and then you will get a phone call or email to say when they want to inspect you. So I'm gonna try . So unfortunately, because my stand is broken, that is as low as you can get, so you're not gonna see as much of the cake. I will lift it up and give you a good look, but maybe if I move it over this way, then you can see a bit more of it. So you're doing so well, Amy. I'm super impressed with you with my live video. Thank you. Today there's a lot more like faffing because I'm doing it earlier, so it's not as like pre-prepared, but I hope that you don't mind. Yeah, it's just kind of like watching me bake, I guess. Right, so we're gonna start dripping. So I use a spoon, so you just push it towards the edge and it will drip. And then because your cake is cold, it will eventually stop dripping, which is what you want, because you don't want it to go all the way down to the bottom. And you just keep taking little spoonfuls and you just edge it to the edge of the cake. There we go. So I'm just smoothing around on the top. And you can do drips as close together or as far apart as you like. Some people prefer to have really far apart drips. Some people prefer to have drips that are overlapping. If you want really uniform drips, I would say get a bottle. I used to use that, but I prefer the kind of natural look of having lots of different like lengths and sizes. I don't want them to look all uniform, but it's definitely personal preference. So I am absolutely loving how this looks. Also, I mentioned this to my parents yesterday because I live with my parents, so they were like saying how much they liked the cake yesterday that I did, and I was saying that I actually felt like I wasn't even decorating an order. Like, it's really weird, but when I'm on live, I'm even more relaxed. Like, I don't really stress too much about cakes because I mean I do so many of them that I'm kind of used to it. And I just don't stress about them, but I was even less stressed because I felt like I was just kind of talking to you guys and like not even realising that I was doing an order, which I love. So I think I'm definitely going to make this a regular thing. So whenever I have a cake, I'll try and do a live so that you guys can see it. But yeah, I've got a cake for next weekend, I think, so I will be doing another live next weekend. I'm not sure if it's Friday or Saturday, so I can't guarantee which day. But even if I don't have a cake, like just in future, I'll be just doing a live and I can just answer questions. So either way, I will be live, but and then I do the normal uploads on Fridays, Sundays and Tuesdays. So if you're not already subscribed, then definitely subscribe and then you'll hear about those. But I upload 3 times a week. Sometimes I do more if I'm feeling like it. If I've got time, then I do more. A week. So now you just fill in any gaps. If you want to add, you can do like little drips where you add a tiny bit and then it will just drip a little. So I want to do a little one here. And then you just push it back. That's why I like using the spoon, because I feel like I have more control when I'm using a spoon than if I'm using like a squeezy bottle, because the squeezy bottle you can't see how much is coming out each time. So you could squeeze out a little bit too much, not enough. And obviously once it's squeezed out, there's kind of no going back. It's kind of all or nothing. Same with this, like, I mean, once you've started dripping it, then it's gone. So, right, drip is done, I think. I'm gonna add a little one here, just there, just to go in that little gap. And then we're gonna start piping on the top. Is my chocolate drip just chocolate and oil? Yep. You don't put the oil in when you're melting the chocolate, you put the oil in after it's already melted. So you completely melt your chocolate. I would say this takes about 1.5 minutes, but do it in 20-second intervals. So I did mine in 20 seconds at a time and just kept melting it until it was completely melted. And then you add about 1/2 teaspoon to 1 teaspoon of oil, but I would say add less, and then if you need more, then add more. So it just depends. You might need more, you might need less. And then the other option is that you can use chocolate spread, which is Finch Bakery's tip. That's where I got it from. I only use chocolate spread if I'm sticking sprinkles on, because you need it to, as you can see, this has started to go hard. When it stops to shine, that's when you know it's starting to go hard. It's still soft when you eat it, but it hardens to the point where you can't stick stuff to it. So if you want to stick any sprinkles to your drip, then you need to use chocolate spread, because it will give you more time to stick it on. For anyone new joining, we're doing a ombre drip cake. I've seen a couple more people joining, so yeah, we're just decorating this cake. If you have any questions, then put them down below and I will answer them. If I only sell, does this melted, sorry, there's loads of questions, so I'm just making sure I'm doing them in order. Are they reusable plastic piping bags and metal piping tip packs? If so, what do you recommend? There's ones on Amazon, which I do recommend. I don't like the actual tips that much, they're quite cheap. So I'd recommend Wilton ones, but I have reusable bags. So I have these, which are from Amazon, and you just cut them, but the only thing is, and that's the reason why I use these, is I'm just cutting the end off this so that I can randomly pipe round, whereas if I'm using a tip, then I will use the reusable ones. They're also not very big, so if you're piping a big cake, then you're going to need a bigger bag, in which case I use the disposable ones. But if you're doing a small amount, then you can use the reusable ones, but Wilton nozzles I would say are the best. Does this melted chocolate harden after a while? Do you reheat it? Yes, it does harden if you temper it correctly, which I do. So if you're melting it for 20 seconds at a time rather than too long. Basically, tempering is when you get it over 30 degrees, so, or near enough that. So if you get it over that temperature, then it comes out of temper, and temper is basically that when you snap a chocolate bar, it snaps, it doesn't bend. So a bend is when it's melting and it's not tempered, whereas when it snaps, that's when it's tempered. So that's why you have to melt it for short bursts, because then it will stay tempered and it will harden, but not to the point where it doesn't taste as nice or it's that bendy, soft material. Like this will harden and it will taste like chocolate. It won't affect the taste, whereas if you don't temper it right, then it can affect the taste and also the texture. And this is really important when you're doing things like cake pops, when you use those silicone molds, because if they aren't hard and tempered correctly, then they don't taste as good. If I only sell cupcakes, how much should I sell them for each? I'm just starting an at-home business. So I started with £2 per cupcake. That's now gone up to £2.50 because I use muffin cases, which means that they're bigger. So if you're doing small cupcakes, then I would say £2 as a starting point. I add 50p on for fondant toppers because that's more work for you. And then obviously now I've upped them to £2.50, but that's because I've been going a year. So there's that inflation that I was talking about earlier. So then you would put your prices up each year. So I would say £2 is like a general answer from most people, is typically what people go for in terms of like bakers, is typically what they charge. How do you get your buttercream so smooth around the sides? It looks lovely. Number one is this scraper. This is Finch Bakery scraper. It's obviously covered in buttercream, but you can see their website down there. So it's www.finchbakery.com, and yeah, they sell these scrapers and they are amazing. I would say you want your buttercream to be smooth. If you over mix it, then it's going to have a lot of air pockets in it, which are those little holes. So it means that when you smooth it, it's going to get lots of holes throughout. Whereas if you have not mixed it too much and also had the right ratio, so again, if you add too much icing sugar, then it's going to be really, really stiff. And then when you scrape it around the cake, it's going to be stiff. But if you do it where you've got the right ratio, where it's still a little bit soft, not watery, but a little bit soft, then it will go around the cake nicely. I might do a video on that as well if people want to see it. One on how to get the best buttercream, and then I can use a dummy because I have dummy cakes, and then I can show you how to get it smooth and any tips and stuff. You can add boiling hot water, like a teaspoon at a time, to icing sugar and butter when before it's mixed. But if you add the hot water, you have to be very quick when you're icing the cake, because obviously as soon as that water goes cold, the icing is then going to harden. So if you haven't smoothed it in time and you've got that hot water in there, then it means that you're not getting it smooth, basically. So I wouldn't add hot water until you're at a point where you're icing very quickly. Like I can ice in, I mean, if I'm not on a live, I can ice in about 15-20 minutes, so then it doesn't go cold. Any brand recommendations for vegan white chocolate? I actually have some in here because I do vegan bakes. I don't do gluten-free or allergies, but I do vegan. So I use, I don't know if you can see, the lighting isn't great, but it's called the Free From Kitchen Co. So for any vegan bakes, I recommend them. This is the dark chocolate, so this is for brownies, but they do white chocolate and also milk chocolate. And then in terms of little things, so things like chocolate buttons and little chocolate bars like Kit Kats, they do their own like Kit Kats as well. I would say Tesco's Free From, because they have their own vegan range and they're really good. Do you think 11 is too young to start a part-time baking business? I would say it's no age is too young, if I'm honest. If you're good, then I don't think that there is much problem with it. I would say obviously speak to your parents, because I didn't speak to mine and I have now taken over the kitchen. This whole section is an extension. If you go and watch my kitchen tour video, you'll be able to see. But this whole area that I'm stood in is an extension, which was built before the business, but I have just taken it over completely. I've also got that big table behind me, which didn't used to be there. We used to have sofas, and now all the sofas are moved over because we don't have space. But yeah, I've already outgrown the kitchen, so I don't know what I'm going to do soon because it's already outgrown. But I would say speak to your parents, because if they don't want you to take over the kitchen, then unfortunately you don't have a choice. I pay my parents rent because I am 21 and I still live at home, so I pay them money towards like the mortgage and stuff like that. But if you're not paying rent, again, you're going to be using a lot of electric, So I would try and come up with an agreement with them and see whether they're happy for you to do it. And also, like I say with everything, practice, make sure that you actually like it, because there are so many people that started lockdown baking businesses and they've completely gone. I saw so many people in my local area start, and so many of them aren't working anymore. They've gone back to their normal jobs because they didn't like it, because something that you enjoy as a hobby isn't necessarily something you would enjoy as a full-time job all hours of the day. I mean, it's 9 p.m. and I'm still working, so make sure that you enjoy it, because you will spend lots of money starting it up. So but obviously if you know you enjoy it and your parents are completely fine, then I don't think that 11 is too young. I would say maybe not under 10. So yeah, but 11 with your parents' full support, I would say, is definitely not an issue. You could even just make family and friends cakes and then start elsewhere, because I think if you've got enough of a portfolio, which is why I say about practicing and getting lots of photos, if you have enough of a portfolio, then people won't mind your age. But some people even come and collect from me and they'll go, "Are you Amy? Are you Sweet Things by Amy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." And they don't expect me to be as young as I am. So some people can sort of judge, I guess. So if you've got a big enough portfolio that shows how great your cakes are and how great your whatever you're making is, then people won't be able to judge you based on your age. Whereas if you don't have enough photos and things, then sometimes people can be put off. Isn't that a personalised apron you're wearing? Oh my god, my mum made me this. So again, she's got a Cricut, and she also has like a printer. So she printed my logo on it, and then it's also got this pug print on it, Pugs in Donuts, which we bought from a sewing show. And it's like the old-fashioned aprons where it's got the trim around it. So yeah, I absolutely love it. But yes, it's fully handmade. She made it for my birthday last year. So yeah, this is what I got for my birthday, and I absolutely love it. How would I get people to know about my business and start getting customers? Like I say, start a Instagram and Facebook account, post a lot on there, try lots of different things, be unique, and get people to recommend you. So like, I did lots of treats for family and friends, and then I got them to take photos and post it on Instagram stories, Facebook stories, and then that also gets you known to other people. Invite all of your friends to like your Facebook page, because then you're going to get more people to see it, and then they might then share it to someone else. But yeah, that's all I can really recommend, because all I did was that, and that's how I got oh my god, yeah, I remember, Fredella, I think that's how you pronounce your name. You ordered brownies from me on Etsy. I remember because it was recently. I remember the name because I thought, wow, that's such a cool name. Oh, they were delicious, thank you. Well, I'm so glad that you liked them, because I loved making them. But yeah, well, that's exciting that people are watching that have ordered. I love that. I love that people, I love that fellow bakers as well order from me, because it's nice that other people are like supporting as well. Right, so I'm going to decanter this leftover buttercream. So this is the way I do ombre cakes, because I like the ombre effect around the top of the cake. What I do is you scrape all this off, and as you're scraping, you're putting it in a bowl. So I'm putting it in my KitchenAid bowl, and then what you do is you roughly mix that. You don't mix it properly, because then you're going to get a light blue, but you roughly mix it so that all the colours are kind of blended but not. It kind of creates like a marble effect. And then what you do is you just shove it in a piping bag and you start piping, and then you'll get that ombre mixed effect with the buttercream, and it ends up looking really nice. So we're going to do that. So I'm going to get another piping bag, and we've got a little bit of white in here. So I'm going to mix that in with it as well, and we're going to put it in the glass, and then we'll start. I haven't, if you were on yesterday's, you know that I lost my piping nozzle for literally about 10-15 minutes. I could not find it anywhere, but I found it today, and I found it yesterday. So I've now got it, and we're not going to have any delays there. So I'm going to go and grab my piping nozzle, and then I will be back. So I've got a new bag and I've also got my nozzle. So I'm using, you can look it up, it's about £5, but I'm using the Wilton 8B, and this is what it looks like. So it's a star nozzle and it's got about 12 to 15 little points on it, so it creates a really nice ripple effect. Ruby, yeah, I saw that you ordered. I will be posting those on Monday. I'm going to be making those tomorrow. Tomorrow is like a kind of half day off because the postals, I do them in the afternoon for Monday. So yeah, I'll be doing your brownies in the afternoon. They're the vegan ones. I absolutely love them. It's one of those ones where it's like vegan brownies in general are always to people's taste because it is an alternative. So there's going to be some kind of ingredient in it that is the alternative for like eggs and milk and stuff like that. But I used to be vegan and that was the recipe that I always made for my own brownies. And then when I started baking, I used that recipe again. But I'm still vegetarian, but not vegan anymore. But I do love those brownies. When I made my last ones, my last vegan brownies for postals, I made myself an extra one so that I could eat it because I do love them. But when I'm saying about there being like a particular ingredient, the main thing in those vegan ones is the coconut oil. So some people don't like coconut oil, which then means that they wouldn't necessarily like that recipe, which is something that you have to be aware of when you're doing alternatives. This is to kind of all the bakers out there, but yeah, luckily everyone seems to like the coconut oil in my ones and I love it, so I've never had to change it. I've been using that recipe for quite a few years now. What's the hardest bit about making your cakes? I mean, I would say when something goes wrong, but I feel like that is the hardest bit of anything. Probably, I don't know. It sounds a bit weird, but I don't really find anything too hard about them. It kind of just comes naturally now. I would say, in terms of just the most inconvenient, I feel like buttercream is the most annoying thing about making it, is the most annoying thing, just because it's so messy. But apart from that, I don't really dislike anything. Yeah, the whole part of the process I kind of enjoy. So even like the baking, because I have a whole routine now. So like when stuff's in the oven, I then wash up so that I've got a whole routine going. But yeah, I don't think at the moment there's anything too hard. When I first started out, the hardest thing was always designs that were very different to what I would normally go for. I now don't do any fondant. I only do fondant kind of like toppers. I don't do actual fondant cover cakes because that was the hardest thing. I hated them. It's just a lot of faff. I love the way that buttercream cakes look and I'm comfortable making them. I can literally make them with my eyes closed sometimes. So I just think if I'm good at those, then leave the fondant cakes for the pros, because there are some people who are amazing at fondant cakes, so I might as well just let them have the customers and then I'll have the buttercream customers. How do you sell things on Etsy and keep it fresh? All of my Etsy stuff is made to order. Nothing is pre-made before someone buys it. So yeah, I have a weekly quota, so I have 30 boxes a week that I can sell, and then obviously when they sell out, I don't sell anymore until the next week. So yeah, I sell the actual items first, and then I have designated postal days. So like Ruby's ordered and hers are being posted on Monday, so on the Etsy listing it will say being posted on Monday this date, and then once Monday is sold out, then I'll move it to Tuesday this date. So yeah, they're never pre-made because that is the way that you can't keep it fresh. And then when they are made to order, you just, like with any brownies or cupcakes or anything, you obviously box it up and keep it in the fridge so that it stays fresh. Yeah, that's all I do. I just make everything fresh. And then the brownies are posted in cellophane bags, so that's what keeps them fresh whilst they're in the post. And also, luckily at the moment, because it's so cold, you don't have to worry about the heat when they're being posted, because it's freezing cold, so it basically acts as a fridge when they're being posted. In the summer, you'll have to package them slightly different so that things don't sweat or anything, but unless we're having like a crazy heat wave, it shouldn't be anything that's an issue. In my last live, I said that I don't sieve flour or anything. How do you get rid of lumps and powder pockets like flour? Sometimes it depends on the brand that you're buying. If I'm honest, I've never had any issues with lumpy flours or anything. I do pour it into the bowl and mix it by hand, just roughly, just mix it around the bowl, and then once I've done that, it goes in the stand mixer, and I don't know whether it's the stand mixer that helps beat it out of it, because it's definitely stronger than my hand, because even I get tired mixing stuff. So I don't know if it's that. I don't know if you're using a hand mixer and that might be why it gets lumpy. Do you eat leftover cakes, scraps, or save it for cake pops or throw them? I never throw anything, just because I think it's the way I was brought up. I was always brought up to finish everything on my plate, and that literally resonates with this. I don't want to throw anything away, especially when it's that good. I'm like, why should I throw it away? So I always eat it. I've actually got 2 brownie trays in the fridge because I made one too many the other day for my orders. For my postals, I made an extra white chocolate one, and I put it up on my story and said that I would sell it, and then I was like, actually, I kind of want to eat it, so I've just got it in the fridge. And they last for 10 days, so I've got another 5 days to eat it, so I'm going to be eating that this weekend. I eat mine and I'm putting on so much weight. Yeah, I mean, I am on a diet, so I take my dog for walks regularly throughout the day, and then I also do little workouts in the morning. I feel like it's quite good with lockdown anyway to be doing workouts because it keeps you a bit sane. But yeah, I am being good with food, and because I'm standing for so much of the day, I feel like that helps losing the weight a little bit. But yeah, I snack throughout the day, like little snacks, and then in the evening I try and have a bigger meal. But yeah, it is definitely a difficult thing because you end up putting on the weight that you're eating. What made you start baking? I'm just going to wash my hands and then I'll be back and answer that one because it's a long one. Right, hands washed. When is the merch coming out? Oh, that's another thing that is coming very, very soon. I'm ordering my own merch first because I need my own uniform. As you can see, I'm wearing jeans and a vest top. I have my own aprons, but I want my own t-shirts that I can wear when I'm baking. But back to what made me start. Honestly, it's nothing that's too like crazy, if I'm honest. It's not like I've been baking since I was a kid. I only ever baked for charity. So at my old work, I worked at the council. They do all the Macmillan days where you bake for charity and people buy slices of a cake. So I used to always do that. But apart from that, I've never really baked. And that was probably like 2 or 3 times a year. It was never that often. But yeah, so I would do that, and then I didn't enjoy my last job. It was a credit controller, and because of COVID, it was very stressful. So I wanted to leave that job, and I saw people starting lockdown bakeries. And I thought, actually, I was like, I like baking. I've done it on occasion. I thought, why not see what it's like? So then I just started... Then I just started baking for family, so I was baking for like birthdays, and I was just baking all the time. Like I was baking cupcakes for family barbecues. This was when COVID was very early on and you could still see people, back in like, July last year. So I was like, okay, well, I'll bake for family get-togethers, and everyone was like, you know what, you're actually getting really good. Maybe you should do it regularly and like do it like full time. And I was like, actually, I wouldn't mind that. So then I registered and thought I'll go through the process. Even if I don't like it, then I'll just start doing it. And it just spiraled into this, if I'm honest. It wasn't planned at all. But yeah, I just thought, why not? So that was pretty much how I got into it, if I'm honest. And it was very... like self-taught, all of that. I didn't do any like classes or anything. I just wing everything. That is kind of like my personality, and it obviously works, but I just thought I'll wing it, I'll try different things, and it's worked. How do you clear out your fridge for cakes? I feel like mine gets squashed with stuff because I have a big family and things. I have my own fridge, not like all my own, but I share it with my sister. And this is just because we have a big family. When I was younger, there was 6 siblings living with us as well, because I have 6 siblings, like all in the same family, so like same parents and everything. So we all live together, so we have lots of bedrooms and we were all sharing the same fridge. So we had to have 2 fridges because there were so many of us, and obviously as everyone gets older they buy their own food. So we have 2 fridges, 2 double fridges where it has the freezer and the fridge. So now that everyone's moved out and it's just me and my sister still here out of the 7, it means that we have a whole fridge to ourselves, which is over here, so it's right near where I bake. So I have half of the fridge and she has the bottom half, so that's pretty much it. That's how I get round it. I do have one shelf for cakes, and then everything else like ingredients goes on a different shelf, and then all my personal stuff goes on another shelf, so it's not on the same shelf with all the ingredients. But yeah, it's I only have one shelf for cakes, and then when I have more than one cake in a day, then I just have to clear out the fridge or use my parents' fridge. But both of them have temperature gauges in them, like thermometers, so it means that I can use either one and I've got the temperatures of each. Things like butter and stuff melt. Yeah, so with butter, if you're using it, it can be left out at room temperature, but if you're not using it, then it does have to be kept in the fridge. Unfortunately, that is a pain for space. What about custom tea towels like cupcake gemmers? I haven't seen those, so I might have to have a little gander, because that would be really cool. I do actually have custom tea towels. That's another thing my mum made me. So she made me this, and then with the same pink, she made me custom tea towels. So I do have 2 of my own, and we also have a heat press. So all of the merch is going to be made here. I'm literally going to buy the t-shirts and stuff from the supplier that I found, and then I'm going to be making it here. So it's all going to be handmade by me. I never end up making enough buttercream for my cakes. For my 4-layer 8-inch cakes, I use... I would say for a 6-inch cake, you would need at least 500 grams of butter, which is what I used. I didn't make enough either. I never make enough for the top because obviously mine only does the sides and the crumb coat. But yeah, you always have to make more for the frosting, but I would say at least 500 grams for a 6-inch cake, and then I'd say about 750 for an 8-inch cake, and that's 750 butter, and then you double it for the icing sugar. How old am I? I am 21. I'm 22 in August, so I am planning a crazy big cake because we're in lockdown and we're going to be out of lockdown hopefully because of all these vaccines, so that means that I can then have a family party. I'm planning a 3-tier cake, so one of the bottom layer is going to be a 8-inch or a 10-inch cake, and then the middle and the top are going to be dummies. So if you haven't used a dummy before, it is a polystyrene cake, so you can ice it exactly the same as a normal cake. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to do a three-tier cake, so because I thought go big or go home, and I'm going to make all the toppers myself, and they're going to be 3 different styles. So one will be like ombre, then one will be scallop, and then the top one will be, I wanted to do a flower painting. So if you've ever seen on cakes where they paint flowers onto it with buttercream, I'm going to do that. Just make double and eat the leftovers, lol. Yeah, that's a good idea. I would eat the leftovers. I can't throw it away. Is it a bad idea to start a business during the middle of COVID, or should I wait? I've been practicing recipes for months and I feel like I'm prepared. I would say that now isn't a bad time. I started in May last year, So literally they had announced that COVID was a thing and it was going to be a thing for a while, and then I started a business. So I probably started at the worst time, and look how it worked out for me. Whereas you starting now, we've got the vaccines, they've got a whole plan for how we're going to move forward. I don't know how much you keep up to date with it, or like anyone here. But yeah, obviously they do have a plan to move forward. So I would say that it's not a bad time, because they are considering opening things up. And I mean, April is when like businesses start to reopen, like shops and stuff. So I definitely don't think it's a bad idea. If you think you're ready, then do it. And yeah, like you say, postals is a really good thing at the moment, because people are stuck at home. They can't go and see their friends that are far away because they can't drive certain places. So many people are getting postals as gifts. I'm just gonna get the chocolate out the drawers. What else? What was, you can design them at Awesome Merch. Is that a website? I do have my own designs, which I've done on Photoshop. And because we have the heat press, I thought it's just easier for me to do it at home, because I'm very particular about how I want it to look. And certain websites, you can only put it in certain places. So if you have a t-shirt, you can only have it like in this top corner. Certain ones won't let you put it in the middle. Whereas I thought if I'm doing it myself, I can do stuff on the arms of any hoodies that I make. So I can just completely customize it if I do it myself. What was my biggest fear? That I wouldn't get any orders at all. So yeah. Oh my god! Why are you giving me gifts, VRL? I'm making your cake! If anyone's wondering, VRL is the person whose cake this is for. So yeah, he's just gifted me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, well, I've just got a little gift, so that's really nice. Thank you. And have you had any crazy orders before? Do you mean in terms of size, value, or do you mean just that they were just outrageous in terms of design? Why did you decide to get tattoos? I just like tattoos. If I'm honest, I didn't even think about any of them. I just like them. I have a sunflower because it represents the summer, and summer is my favourite time of year. But yeah, I would just say, you know, if you like with anything, again, you can kind of tell from my personality, but I wing things and I do what I want to do rather than what other people want to do. Some people don't like tattoos, but I like them, so that's why I got them. So yeah, I would definitely say if you want to get one, go ahead. How did you grow your followers? Honestly, I don't know. I can't answer it in terms of like an actual thing I did. I just started baking, I started posting photos, I started doing all these things. So I haven't done anything in particular to grow them. I just am running the business and people seem to like it. So yeah, I just hope that it continues. No. Yeah, you can get 100 for $2.99. What's that? I'm talking to Ollie. He's mentioned that you can get 100 for £299. Do you mean followers? I'm not sure if I've missed something there. I'm just covering the board with buttercream. Do you use baking powder with plain flour / all-purpose, or use self-raising? For cakes, I always use self-raising, and then for brownies and stuff, it's always plain. But certain cakes, if they are more ingredient heavy, so if they've got like melted chocolate in, then they usually ask you to include baking powder, which is so that it will rise, because if it's too heavy it won't rise. So yeah, I would say it depends on the recipe, so has a weird aftertaste. Baking powder, if you're using the right amount, which should be very little, then it shouldn't have an aftertaste. That might be a sign that you're using too much. But again, if you're following the recipe, then hopefully it wouldn't tell you to use too much. Tea towels. Yeah. Oh, I can get 100 for $2.99. So they're £2.99 each. Okay, I'll have to have a look at that and see whether I can get my designs on them and stuff. Cool, thank you, Ollie. 10 minutes ago you said something about being vegetarian and vegan. What's the difference? Vegan is when you don't have any milk or eggs, whereas vegetarians can have any other animal products apart from meat. So vegans don't eat meat. I haven't eaten meat for 7 years, whereas vegetarians, they can have eggs, they can have normal milk, they can have things like honey, whereas vegans won't have any of that. Vegans don't have even honey. So yeah, I hope that covers it. I mean, designs. I have had a few crazy ones. If it's something that I basically don't do any cakes that I don't want to do. And as blunt as that sounds, I'm the one that has to make it, and I'm also the one that has to, you know, take photos of it. So that's why I like when a customer says to me, you choose, because it's something that I like and I can make it creative for them, and hopefully they will like it as well. But yeah, I don't like to do any designs that I don't like. So I've had like a, what is it? The Mr. Maker. I've had one of those ages ago, like literally almost a year ago, and I did some fondant on it, and I've never done fondant since. I didn't mind the cake, but it's just not my style, so I no longer offer fondant. So as you can see, the board is covered. So yeah, it's all covered, so that's good. I'm just going to plug in my phone so that we don't have the same issue as yesterday where we died. So bear with. I think, there we go. Right, more questions. So, would you ever think of starting baking vids? I think you mean like tutorials. I did think about it. I was talking to someone earlier because they put a comment on my page. I would love to do tutorials for kids and also adults and teenagers. Like, I would love to, obviously post-COVID, I would love to have a shop, and then I was thinking if I could have a spare room in the shop, like if you have kind of one of those like kind of playrooms and like reception room, that kind of thing, then I could make it into a little design studio, and then it means that I could do lessons in there, which I would love to do, and especially kids, because I think it's such a nice thing for kids to have hobbies. So it's sort of thing where you could send your 5-year-old to me and I could teach them how to bake. So and then they get to take it home to their parents, so I think that's a really nice idea. So I would love to do that, but not at the moment with COVID, but I'm hoping that maybe I'll have a shop in the next few years. Where did you get your logo? Where did you design your logo? I bought it off Etsy. So they designed it and I just bought it. So yeah, it was nothing too expensive or anything. It was literally like, it was £15 I think for the logo. But yeah, it was, I think it was someone called Beatrice on Etsy. But if you type in baking business logos, then loads of them will come up, or like cupcake logo, anything like that, like trigger words like that, then it will come up on Etsy. Do you use cooking chocolate or regular chocolate? Loving the lives. I personally find, it depends what brand you're using. I really like Sainsbury's because I think it's a nice taste. Tesco's cooking chocolate I find has a weird aftertaste, so I don't use that cooking chocolate, whereas that, even though it's in the ingredients section, which is technically cooking chocolate, it's not labelled as cooking chocolate, so that's why I don't mind using it, because it has a nice taste. But yeah, the Tesco's one I definitely wouldn't recommend because it has a funny, like, sweet aftertaste. Yeah, so I answered the baking videos one. Cupcake Gemma sells tea towels for £9.50. When are you going to buy your first house? I'm one of those people where I don't want to rent because I feel like it's a waste of money. So definitely with my first house, I would like to buy it. So I would rather stay home and save and then get a house after I've saved enough, like a deposit. And also when you're self-employed, you have to wait 3 years because you have to have books, and that is like your accounts. So yeah, I have to wait until I've got 3 years of books, so it won't be yet. And I don't want to rent just because that's money I could pay off a mortgage with. You've just started a baking business. You always use the same recipe for your blondies, but the past 2 days they seem very dry. Blondies being dry, so it could be over baking. That's the only thing I can really think of, if I'm honest. Yeah, or that there's too much dry ingredients. So this can be if your eggs are smaller than usual. So like if you have gone from using large eggs to medium eggs, then that will be less weight. So it's either that your mix is dry and then when you put it in the oven it dries out, or you've overcooked it. But I sometimes find if I use different sized eggs, especially because I use my own eggs and they can vary in size, then it can dry out a mix. Because so that's why if I do it by weight of the eggs, and if it says 3 eggs, then I make sure that the weight isn't too low, because some of them might be considered a small egg or a medium egg or a large egg. So just make sure you're using the same size eggs for each batch. When you sell your cake, how do you get them delivered? I live in a small town and want to sell cupcakes. Where would I sell them and how would I get them delivered? I deliver myself, and a lot of people collect as well. So yeah, I guess they either come and get it or you would have to drive and take it. I don't use any external delivery companies because I just worry that it won't get there in the same condition. Measuring with cups rather than scaling the ingredients. Yeah, that's another thing. I always do it with scales just because it gives me an exact amount, whereas some recipes say 1 cup, but it could be an American cup, it could be an English cup, because they're different sizes. So yeah, I've had it before where I've done a recipe and it said cups and then they weren't the same measurements because it was American. How specific do you have to be when it comes to allergens? Because most things say may contain nuts. This is why I don't deal with allergens, because I've had people before where they've said they're allergic to nuts, but they can eat, say, chocolate orange, which says on the back that it may contain nuts. And obviously, when it comes to them having an allergic reaction, they're going to say you gave them something that says may contain nuts. So I would just rather not risk it. It can be based on percentages. Some people can be allergic to nuts, but they can eat anything that has under a percentage of like 10% of nuts in it. And that's why some people, it says if it's just traces of nuts, then it's fine. And that's because it's such a low percentage of the ingredient. Would you ever do online bake-off with fans? Do you mean like host it? That would actually be quite a cool idea. I would quite like to do it in person, like a YouTube video bake-off series. But maybe post-COVID when I can have like family members around, because then what I'll do is I'll get different family members to bake something. Where do you get your apron from? This, my mum made this. I mentioned it earlier in the live, yeah, my mum made it. She printed this on the front and then she sewed it all together. And then this is a pug in a donut print. So yeah, what's the, something's come up with like show or hide. It's Ollie. I don't know what the thing is. It says it's held for a review, so I don't know how to sort that out. Oh, there we go. Host it and sell it to join. Oh, so you mean, yeah, so would the other bakers bake? Is that what you mean? Like, so it's bake off and the fans would bake and I would be the host. So would I judge? I'm quite interested in this because I feel like this is quite a good idea. So so I would be the judge maybe, and then people would submit their entries, I guess. That's quite a good idea. I'm just getting my chocolates out. Because I've got quite a lot of free reign with this cake, I'm literally just putting whatever chocolates on it I want, whichever will look nice. So we're getting quite a mix on there. I'm going to put a few Lindor balls on there, but I'm going to take them out the wrapper because then they're milk chocolate rather than the red, which won't go with the design. And then I've also got the bottles. So I've got lots of different ones, so I'm going to use a little bit of cloth and just wipe them so that they haven't got any dust or anything on them. They've just been kept in a little, I keep all my customer stuff in a tray, see, like this. So if I have any special requests, so like these were a special request for a cake, so I put them in here so that I know not to use them for anything else. And that's also where I keep any alcohol bottles like this, because then I know that they're not being used for anything else. Like a bake box checkout, cupcake gemma. I'll have to look at that to see what that is. So you mean just use vegan and then normal ingredients, so no nut-free or gluten-free ones? I would use normal chocolate unless it is a vegan bake, where I obviously use vegan ingredients as well. But I don't use anything. So cooking chocolate doesn't have any traces of nuts in it because they typically know that people are going to be using it for cooking where people might have allergies. But normal chocolate, that's why it says may contain nuts. So any brands, so like Dairy Milk, all of them say may contain nuts on it. But yeah, I wouldn't use vegan ingredients unless it is a vegan bake. Like a bake box. Yeah, it's a good idea. Basically a kit to bake my brownies. Okay, I did think about, I was going to do subscription boxes as well, which I thought about, where I would do a monthly box and it would include like one of my silicone molds, it would include like a spatula, it might include like some ingredients or some sprinkles. So it would be like a subscription box that you buy every month. You can choose to buy it one month and not the next. And then, yeah, it would just have, it's like a bit of a gift box basically. So that was what I was thinking. Like a TV show. Yeah, I would quite like to do a little like bake with me series. That would be quite cool. Unfortunately, I can't give away my recipe because if you think about it, most people, this is why like most bakers don't reply to people because they don't want to give anything away. But like I give a lot of information away on like YouTube and stuff, but the only thing I don't give away is my recipe. So if you think, oh hi Ash, thank you, yeah, we're doing this cake and I'm just talking about various things that people are asking. So yeah, I don't give away the recipe because if you think that's the only thing that makes me me, because I share all the other information. So you have all that other information that you can use and apply to your own business. And then if I was to give my recipes away as well, then that would basically mean I'm giving my whole business away. So there are a few things that I have to keep secret, unfortunately. It looks amazing. What flavour is it? It is white chocolate and raspberry. And it's got a milk chocolate drip. So, and we're just doing all the chocolates on top. So I'm going to start on that now. Yeah, it's a 6-inch cake and it is 6 inches tall, roughly. For the kits, so you wouldn't have to give the recipe away. For the kits, I would probably do some kind of giveaway. I'm not quite sure how it will work yet, but I did think about for like the subscription boxes that I would do some kind of giveaway. I'm just not sure how it would work, because I haven't really thought about it too much. How do you work out your pricing? Does it depend on what area you're in? I personally don't think area has anything to do with it. This is a common, I would say, misconception. It's largely talked about with bakers that if you're in Wales, then you should charge less. If you're not in Wales, then you shouldn't charge less. I personally think that if you bake amazing cakes, then you should be able to charge what they're worth. You shouldn't have to charge less just because you're because you live in a different area. If someone wants a cake, they will pay for it. And also, it doesn't matter too much where your area is, because I have people that drive from London, and if you think they could go to someone in London, but they go to someone that is an hour and a half away. So I definitely don't think you should have to charge less, because if your work is worth it, then I would definitely charge it. Because also, even like you say you live in Wales, you might get no orders, or like, not saying no, but you might get less orders from Wales, but you might get people that drive to get your bakes. Again, I've had people drive from Essex to get my cakes, and to get brownies, and that's again like an hour and a half away, and people will drive to get it. So if people like your bakes, then they will pay for it. It's because we're so deprived here. Yeah, I mean, it is unfortunate. Some areas are going to be, I wouldn't say lower class, but they might have lesser wages or things like that. But it definitely doesn't mean that you should have to earn less, because if you think about it, you've all got to earn a wage. We all have to earn a wage. We all have to pay our bills. So if you have to take on less orders and not get paid as much, I definitely don't think it's fair on you to have to do that. I'm just sticking these little bottles on here. I'm going to lay this one down, so I'm going to put some more buttercream on here. And I'm going to use a little bit of chocolate to prop it up. So if you package up dry ingredients and your customers would bake it at home. Oh yeah, I've seen those. So does she give the recipe away as well? I know that she does those little boxes where she puts all the ingredients in, but I don't know whether I assume she gave away the recipe, but does she? Maybe not, I don't know. Right, so that's how it's looking so far. Oh, she doesn't give away the recipe. So how would you know how to do it? Would you just improvise? I guess you could just mix it all together, couldn't you? Because most, I don't know. Same as me, Ash, I live in a village, which I don't think there's a single baker that does cakes. To be fair, if you live in an area where there aren't many bakers, then I would take that as a good thing, because then you don't have any competition or anyone else that they're going to buy from. No, you get instructions. Oh, okay. That's a good idea. Okay. Ollie, I might have to do that. I'm just getting a charger for my iPad so I can read the chats. Yeah, that's a good idea, so I might have to consider that. Talking about Cupcake Gemma, yeah, that's who they're talking about, so I will have a look at her page. I do follow her, so I'll have to see if I can have a look and see what's happening with that. What nozzle do you use to do the piping on top? I use the Wilton 8B, and it's a star nozzle. Sorry for the questions. No, it's absolutely fine. Like, the whole reason I want to be on live is so that you guys can ask. You guys can ask stuff, and then I can answer it. Yeah, it is less work for me, so that's not the worst thing. Where do you buy edible baking decor online? Can you give some examples so I know what sort of things you mean? Just because there are so many places that you can order things from. If you mean things like luster dust, you can buy them on Amazon. I buy all like these things, these dusts. I buy them all on Amazon. Bake she is made in the video, so every time she makes you a video. She makes a kit for it. Ah, okay. That's a good idea. The landlord question, yes. For anyone that's been on here the whole time, I did answer this earlier. But yeah, you have to tell your landlord, because obviously you're running a business from their house, because landlord is typically renting, so they might not want you running a business from their house, so you would have to get their permission. Anywhere, cake, craft, toppers, edible glitter, just Google it. Literally, so many places sell it. Amazon is quick, so if you need it quickly, then I'd say Amazon. But if you can wait, then I would say eBay, because I buy so much stuff off eBay. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know, because I post things all the time on where I found stuff. But I got some I got some vanilla extract in bulk on eBay, and so many people were like, where did you get this from? And I was like, eBay, like, it's really cheap on there. And it's still branded, it's Dr. Onka, but it's just that takes a lot longer to arrive. It might take 5 days or something. Would you recommend a corrugated cake box and cupcake boxes, or just normal thin ones? I use thin ones, but my cake board matches the size of the box so that it can't move around. I would use corrugated for postals. All of my postal boxes are corrugated, because it's a lot stronger, and if it's going in the post, then definitely. But if it's just for local collection, I personally don't see the need. I literally live on eBay. Oh my god, tell me about it. Everyone always asks me where I get stuff from, and it is eBay. I buy so much stuff on there, and because it doesn't come up as eBay on your bank statement, so many times I'm like, oh my god, what have I been buying? And it's all eBay. Here in Northern Ireland, we don't have same-day Prime. It is heartbreaking when it's not same day. To be fair, my postal boxes recently, because they're from Amazon, for those of you that already know that, they recently went to no longer being Prime, so that's a struggle. I have to order them in advance now. What size drum are you using? This is a, 9-inch drum, and that's because I am doing a 6-inch cake, so I always do 3 inches bigger, and then that means that I have space on the board like so to fit buttercream and stuff on it. So yeah, obviously if you use a smaller board, then it can leave you less space. Do you ever bake things for Cleo like cupcakes? I really want to try doing this, and then obviously if people like them, I'm happy to take requests, because I would easily make her one all the time. Her birthday's in July, so I'm thinking of baking her some cupcakes, but obviously before her birthday I need to do a few test runs, so I will probably be making some. And that, like cupcakes, I probably wouldn't mind sharing the recipe, because it'll be like a hobby. I probably wouldn't make them that regularly, so I might do a little tutorial on cupcakes, because that wouldn't be something that I do all the time. Yeah, the cake drum I'm using is a 9-inch. For delivery cakes, if I deliver a cake, it's the same box, because if you think about it, if I'm delivering it, or if they collect it and drive it home, it's still being in a car, so I just use the thin ones, and I don't get any cakes like posted or anything, and I don't post any cupcakes. I love your flower tattoo. Thank you. I have about 9 or 10 tattoos all over me. Some are hidden, some aren't. There's also another one here, a little butterfly. Would you ever invest in bigger bulk luxury packaging like glitter mailers, etc.? I recently went to pink mailers, and I did think about it, but if you think about what happens to those mailers, like the pink ones look really, really nice when they arrive, and I'm thinking of getting like some personalised tape, because the tape goes around the mailer, but I think that a mailer is thrown away, so it's not that great to have one that is all fancy, because it's going to get thrown away. So I feel like it's a shame. Can you do more vids on your clay business? Yes, I have had so little time to do it on the clay business. I'm actually going to be making a few more drops, so there will be some more videos on those, and I'm going to do like a how-to video where I do like make ceramics with me, that kind of thing. I'm just going to, what do I need? I need this because I need to put the name on the front to see how big it is. Just making sure it's centered. Thank you. Yeah, I love the butterfly tattoo. My mum's favourite, it's not an animal, it's more like an insect, but her favourite thing is butterflies, so that's why I got it. I added seeded jam to my buttercream because I didn't have food colouring. The texture is a little bit different, but I'll make it work. That's interesting. I've never done that because it would obviously change the taste. It would taste like jam. But it's definitely an option. I mean, if it works, then why not? So this is where we're at. I'm just adding like fillers, just adding things into the gap. So I mentioned this in another video, but if you have particular chocolates that are going on a cake and you need to fill some gaps, I would definitely say go for chocolate buttons, because it's a really easy way to fill any gaps on a cake, because it's milk chocolate, so it's not like it's going to be something they don't like, because if they're having milk chocolate on a cake already, then it's not going to affect how much they like the cake. It's just going to fill any gaps in. Mine's for my mum too. Yeah, my mum loves butterflies, so yeah, it's nice to have a tattoo for like your mum, something to remember them by. Would you ever write a recipe book? I did think about this. I would need a lot of recipes, I think, because I feel like people have lots of different things when they do recipe books, whereas so you couldn't have too many of the same. But I do like it. I know a lot of vegan recipes, so maybe I'd do like a vegan recipe book, because I love a few vegan desserts and stuff like that, and meals as well. If I did a recipe book, I'd probably do like all 3 courses, so like main, starter, dessert, all of that, because I think it would be nice. How many layers are there? It's 4 layers, and they are roughly 1.5 to 2 inches each, so it's almost about 7 inches tall. That's what it's looking like so far. I still want to add more chocolate to it. I want it to be like an overload, so I want there to be plenty of chocolate on it. I need to add the Lindor balls now. How many different cakes would you recommend to have available for people to buy and not do personalised, just what would be on my website? I mean, I just add any cakes that I like, if I'm honest. So on my website I probably have about 6 cakes on there which people can order. I don't usually get bookings through the website for cakes, but it just means that if people look on there, then there is something for them to look at. But yeah, it's good to have a few different types. I would have more on there, but I don't have the time, so I need to have the time and then list more on there. But yeah, I'd probably have about 10 on there, I think, but it's completely up to you. Do you advertise you can put alcohol bottles on cakes if the customers supply them, or do the customers request them on their own initiative? Usually people will send me a cake that I've done in the past and say, can you make me this cake? And I'll say that you need to supply the alcohol bottles. Sometimes people will send me another cake that isn't mine for inspiration, but usually they request it. I don't advertise it. Yeah, most people just ask, and then I'll say, as long as you buy it and drop it off at my house, then that's fine. Is there a difference between vanilla flavouring and vanilla extract? Extract is more of an oil, because it is an extract out of the vanilla pods, but the flavouring is more watery. However, I prefer the flavouring, if I'm honest. Just personal preference, but I think it tastes nicer, and it's more watery, so it's easier to mix. What did you use to do the drip? It is chocolate and a dash of oil. So just normal chocolate melted, and then I use vegetable oil and literally like half a teaspoon to a teaspoon. So yeah. Just adding a few more bits around the board. I'll give you a tour once it's finished, so that you can see areas in detail which you can't necessarily see on camera. There's lots of different chocolate on here. I'm gonna add a few little magic stars as well, because again they're a good filler because they're tiny, so they fit in little gaps. Does the drip go rock solid, or is it still soft enough to cut? It's definitely soft enough to cut. If you leave it in the fridge overnight, then it is solid, like any drip will be. But then as soon as you take it out the fridge, as long as you do it an hour before it's needed, which is what I recommend, then it will soften by the time it gets eaten. So yeah. Are you self-taught? Yes, I am. You just reminded me to put sprinkles on. Yeah, I'm going to put sprinkles around the top on the buttercream. That was one thing that I almost forgot. I don't know how, but I love a sprinkle. So we have lots of different golds for this. How much is this cake? Where is my order book? So lots of things come into it. If it has a covered board, so it's a buttercream covered board with extra chocolate on it, so that's an extra. The card toppers are an extra. The bottles are paid for by the customer, but if you have a license and you supply them, then that will again be an extra. So yeah, there's various things. Some people charge more for added colours, so like there's multiple colours in this, it's not just a white cake, so they would charge extra for that. So there's a lot of things that come into it, but this one was 70, so it's 6-inch. So 6-inch cakes, they start from 45, and then anything like covered board, cake topper, they are all like £5 to £10 extra, so it soon adds up basically. So that's why I always advise starting prices, but then I don't advise more than that. So like if someone says, how much is a 6-inch cake, I will say it starts from this price, but depending on what extras you have, it will be more. So yeah, it just depends what people are adding to it. How many orders you do a week on average? Typically 2 to 3 cakes a week, and then I do about 10 to 15 postals, and then I might have maybe like up to 5 just random orders. Yeah, it kind of varies every week. Can you use a spoon to do the drip? Yeah, so obviously when this ends and the live stream uploads, then you can go and look back, but I used a spoon for this drip because I prefer to do that. So you can go and watch how I did it, but I literally just get a spoon and drizzle it down the side of the cake. It's really easy. I find that a spoon is the easiest way personally to do it. So I'm just putting all the sprinkles round. I'm doing all the big ones first because they take up a lot of room, and then I'm going to go in with all the little sprinkles. So these are all from Sprinkly UK. If you watched the live yesterday, Sprinkly UK and Tesco's is where I got all my sprinkles because I love them. So if you go back and watch that towards the end of that live, because I wouldn't expect you to necessarily watch the whole 2 hours, but towards the end of that I show all my sprinkle collection, so you can see all the sprinkles I have and where I get them from. But these are the ones that I'm using, and these are all from Sprinkly UK. So I absolutely love these. There is another question. How long did you spend building your website? It was probably on and off about a week. Like I would do a few bits on it, and then I would come back to it, make changes, because it's sort of thing where once it starts being used, just dropped a sprinkle. Once it starts being used, e.g. when you start getting customers, you then start to notice, right, I want to change that to make it more user friendly. Like I changed the checkout on mine because I thought, oh, I want to change that because I want it to be easier for someone to read. So yeah, it just depends. You kind of have to test it out, really. You need to make the website live, get a few customers, and then you'll notice anything that needs changing. So on and off about a week, but the initial making it probably about 3 days, and then I was just making changes to it the days after. What do you use for white drip? Sorry for all the questions. No, honestly, ask me as many questions as you like. I do not mind. I get a lot of questions by messages, so answering them here is a lot easier for me because it's all immediate answers and I'm just kind of talking, whereas if I answer on Instagram, it can take me a while to reply because I'm busy. But using a white drip, you can either do a couple of things. So you can do a what do you call it, royal icing, which is the icing which you mix with water. However, it can be very, very runny, so you have to be very careful that you don't make it too runny. That is a very kind of iffy recipe, whereas chocolate, if anything, it's too thick, so you can then make it runnier. Whereas once it's runny, it's difficult to get it back to what it was before. I keep dropping so many sprinkles. So for white drip, I either use the royal icing, which makes it ice white, or I use white chocolate and oil, and I add a little bit of colour mill. This isn't the right one, but I use this, which is colour mill but white, because colour mill you can use in chocolate and it won't seize at all. And you can also use white chocolate spread. However, it's very hard to come by at the moment because they've discontinued it, so it's really hard to find. For the cake box, what height do you use? So I will show you at the end. I might be able to get it down in a minute. But I don't use a particular height, I use the lid. So I don't know if you've seen, but when people use the lid as a back for their cake box, that's what I do. So I staple it to the back of my box. So I staple the lid to the back of the box. What brand of cake boxes do you use? I just use Cake Decorating Company. I don't think they're a particular brand, but that's just the website that I get them from. And that's quite a common place to get them. Where do you see yourself in the next 6 years? Hopefully, I will have a shop by then, and hopefully COVID will not be a thing anymore, and I will be able to do like some classes, and yeah, I would quite like to teach people. I used to want to be a teacher when I was younger, but I didn't like the wages, so that's why I never did it, and also anything that required too much training. My accountancy job I trained whilst I was working, whereas I don't like the whole go to uni, it's just not for me. So I like to have a job whilst I'm training, so that's why I never did teaching, because you had to go to uni for it. So maybe I'll be a teacher. What is the weirdest order you've gotten? I haven't got any weird ones. I mean, I've had weird requests, but I've never ended up doing them. Honestly, I can't remember. Most of the time I get really nice requests, so I never have to say no to anyone. Yeah. I mean, I hear about lots of people getting really weird requests, but I don't think I've had anything memorable. Right, so I've done the sprinkles. I'm going to add a few white ones. These are from Sainsbury's, and they're just called white shimmer pearls. Where do you get your shipping boxes from? The link is in the description of my YouTube videos. They are from Amazon. However, I have changed over. So if you watch any new videos and you see that I'm using different boxes, that's because I've changed over. However, I won't be sharing the new ones just because they are like crown jewels. I want to kind of keep it for myself, as mean as that sounds, because like I say, I do share a lot on here. So those ones on Amazon are perfectly fine. I just wanted ones that were a slightly different style. They have like a sealable line on them, if that makes sense. So you can peel it off and then the box sticks down, the lid. And they're a different colour as well. So, but I am planning to get personalised boxes where they have my logo on. The fact I'm on the cake decorating company now looking at cake boxes, it's so cheap. I've just added 25 8-inch cake boxes to my basket and see how much it would cost, and it's only £15. It's so good, yeah. Cake decorating company is really good, because the lower you get your costs down, the more hourly rate you can charge. Because if you think, it's not like you're getting ingredients and like boxes and stuff really cheap so that you make loads of money and you're overcharging people. It only means that you get paid more, because if you think about it, my old accountancy job, I was getting about £15 an hour, whereas I charge £10 an hour now, but I enjoy it a lot more. So that's the thing, you've got to make sure you're paying yourself a good rate. So if you can get the stuff cheaper, then that means that you get a better wage. Have you ever, what do you say to people when they say £70 for a cake is too much? I just tell them, okay, that's fine. So yeah, if someone doesn't want to pay the price, then I just say, okay, go and find someone else, because I'm not going to change my prices. I have plenty of people that will buy for those prices, so if you have customers for those prices, then don't change them. And also, a lot of people will try and get something cheap if they can, but I think what they forget is this is your job. So, you know, think if you have a house, if you have kids, you have to pay for things, you know, bills, anything like that. So, you know, if you're not charging enough, then how are you going to pay your rent? So, yeah, I think you want to charge reasonable, but you also need to make sure you're getting an hourly rate, because it's also a skill. Like, to be able to make a lovely looking cake is a skill. And you know, if I said to someone, okay, make a cake for me for 20 quid, then it probably wouldn't look as nice as one of my cakes. So that's what you're paying for. But yeah, luckily I rarely get that. I've only ever had one or two, and that was last year when I really first started. But now people don't mind paying. As soon as I say the price, they're like, perfect, fine. Yeah, they don't seem to mind, so it just depends. Have you ever dropped a cake and had to make it again? No, and touch wood, it never ever happens, because I hate the idea of that. I get anxious about people holding the cakes that I make, let alone people then, or me dropping them, because that would be my worst nightmare. So no, I don't like to think about it. But no, I've never done it, and I hope I never will. There we go. I put it slightly to one side. Where are you based in London? I'm not in London, I'm on the outskirts of London. So I'm in Buckinghamshire. I'm near, I don't know where people are based, but I'm based in Aylesbury. So it's near like Milton Keynes, Buckingham, Hemel, that kind of area. So it's in Buckinghamshire. You said before I wanted a cake. I didn't know it was going to look this nice and tasty. Doesn't matter the price. Thank you, VOL. I'm glad that you're getting to see it early. I mean, most customers don't get to see their cake when it's being decorated, but you get to see it, so I'm glad that you like it. I am going to put a little bit more on it, because I want it to be as amazing as possible. So I'm going to put a little bit more chocolate on it, just to make it even more wow. I'm going to also spray a little bit of gold luster on it, because I think that would look nice wherever my gold luster is. Here we go. My cake decor company luster. So I'm going to spray this on before I do anything else, just so that I can get a feel for it. There we go. You have to shake it, because otherwise sometimes it gets a bit clogged up. Would you ever start making cheesecakes? I did think about it because my mum loves cheesecake. She absolutely loves it. So I might have to try it out because then I can get her to taste test it for me. So yeah, I might start doing it. I'm gonna do those filled eggs that everyone's doing, but because everyone is doing cheesecake, I don't want to do cheesecake, so I'm going to do brownie. So I thought that I would crumble brownie into an egg and cover it in chocolate and put sprinkles on it and stuff, and then that will be my Easter treat, because yeah, a lot of people are doing the cheesecake, so I don't want to do the same as lots of people. I'm 13, so would you say charge child minimum wage, which is about £4.22? Yeah, I mean, you could round it up. You could round it up to £5 because, again, like I say, it is a skill. You could get child minimum wage for working a admin job at the council, which is what I used to do. And I used to do an apprenticeship, and it was literally about £3.50 an hour. And it was terrible. It was terrible wage, but that is the minimum wage. But yeah, it's a skill to be able to make cakes, so you could round it up to 5, I think, and people would still pay it. That's child labour. But if your cakes are perfect, charge £8 to £10 an hour. Yeah, you also you probably want to check, like, if you are registering, because I don't know what the rules are on it, but if you are registered, then you could check with your health officer, the person that inspects your home. You could check with them what to do regarding like wages. You could ask them whether you can charge more, because I don't know how it works, yeah, in terms of charging wages when you're a child. But I would say that between 5 and 10 is completely acceptable. And like Ollie says, like, if your cakes are really good, then obviously you can charge that. But I used to charge really low hourly wage, but that was because I was only practicing and I wasn't kind of at the point I wanted to be at yet. Where do you get all your chocolates from? Honestly, supermarkets, because a lot of things you can't necessarily get from, you can get things from wholesalers, but some of them are further away. I am planning to get a Costco membership, because there is a Costco not too far from me, but obviously you have to think, like, if you're going to be paying petrol to drive somewhere that's far away in order to get the ingredients, then it kind of defeats the object of getting it cheaper. So I'm going to work out the cost of having a membership there, because it might work out reasonable, so we will see. I will keep you updated, because obviously if I start doing some Costco hauls, then you'll know that I have started buying from there. But at the moment I just buy from supermarkets, places like Sainsbury's, Aldi, because most ingredients are reasonably priced there, so you don't have to worry about getting them cheaper. Where do you buy your nozzles? Like I think Ash said, I live on eBay, so I get all my Wilton nozzles from eBay. You just type in Wilton and they're still branded. It's not like they're knockoffs or anything, but it's just easier. They deliver, you don't have to worry about it. So yeah, I just buy them, all my nozzles off eBay. But yeah, they are Wilton, so they are branded. And if I got unbranded ones, then they are from Amazon, because you can get like a little gift pack from Amazon. Right, I think we might be done. I don't know. You know when you just want to add more and more to a cake because it just looks so lovely, it just looks really delicious. So yeah, I'm not sure whether to add a little bit more. I might add a few more sprinkles. I want the white ones. I just wanted these white metallic rods. Have you ever had dodgy parcels from eBay? Never. I don't know what an example of a dodgy parcel is, but yeah, I've never had anything wrong from eBay. Yeah, I always find that eBay is really good. Absolutely love eBay. Do you do mini cupcakes? I just got the cases, but I've never got a tin. yeah, I've never done mini cupcakes. I don't think, no, I have actually. I think I just put them in a normal cupcake tin, if I'm honest, when I did them. I've only done them once, but I think I just put them in a normal tin and they cooked fine, so wasn't the worst thing. Right, there is just chocolate everywhere. I'm going to switch over the chargers, bear with. Right. Yeah, the large cakes with mini cupcakes on top are really, really cute. But yeah, if you get the silicone cases for the mini cupcakes, which is what I have, because if you're putting them on top of a cake, you don't necessarily need a case on it. So I use the silicone cases, and then you can put it in a normal cupcake tray, because the silicone doesn't morph into another shape. Whereas paper cases, as soon as you put the mix in, they're going to want to flatten, so you need the right size tin, but the silicone ones don't. Would you ever stock a dessert shop or ice cream shop? Do you mean like stock my stuff in their shop? I would be open to stocking my stuff in other places if the opportunity came around. Really going to try it tomorrow? Yeah, definitely try it. It might work, so if it works, then let me know. It's cheap in the range. What for? I might have missed something. Do you mean the silicone ones? The silicone cases? What's the biggest cake I've ever made? I made a 2-tier cake, which is my biggest. And it was a 10-inch on the bottom and 8-inch on the top. Yes, to make more of an income and grow your business. The only issue with stocking other people's shops rather than starting your own shop is that they won't pay the same prices that a customer would pay. I have had inquiries about stocking cakes and stuff, and they would want a 2-tier cake, like a 2-layer cake, sorry. This is 4, but they would want a 2-layer cake, and they'd want it for like £10, and then they would sell it £2.50 a slice because they want to make a profit on it because they are a shop. Whereas obviously I can sell my cakes and stuff to people, and then I'm not getting lower wages from someone else for them to then get a profit. No, the tin for the cupcakes. Oh, okay. I'll have to look to see if there's one in my local one for the mini cupcakes. But yeah, stocking other people is a difficult one because a lot of the time they don't want to pay full prices, they want to pay wholesale. So yes, it can be difficult to get a good wage from it. And also, if you sign up to something which takes up too much time, then you can't take on as many orders. So like, I got an inquiry about it and I'm still not sure, and like it has kind of fallen flat because of COVID, but I've had a few people ask me to stock for them. But the issue is, if they say, right, every Monday you need to make me a cake for my shop, what if I have an order on that Monday, like an inquiry? So I might have to say, well, no, I can't do your order because I've got other commitments, because you're going to have to put the person that you're supplying for, like the shop, above any customers. So it just means it's a lot of commitment, and if you then want to get out of it, it's very difficult because you've agreed to supply them. So then if you decide, you know what, I don't have time to supply you, then it's difficult to get out of it. So I just think you want to focus on your own business, because by supplying for someone else, you are helping their business and not necessarily your own. So I think put all of your time into your business, because it definitely pays off the more time you put in. I do get enough orders, but even when I didn't, I was too busy trying to build my business that I didn't have time to bake for any other business. Did you struggle with self-confidence at the start? I'm so worried about my bakes not being good enough. Honestly, everyone does it. I used to, when I first started, I used to literally message people like the day after they got their cake and be like, how was it? Do you want to write a review? Because I was so worried that obviously I did it in a professional way, but like I was worried that they didn't like it. And every time they liked it and loved it, like touch wood, I've never had a bad review, but it is difficult. And when you are starting something completely new, it is kind of like daunting to think about whether people are going to like it. And it's the whole point of a baking business is that it is completely customer focused. So if a customer doesn't like something, your whole business is based around customers liking something. So I can completely see where that kind of struggle is. But you just have to, like, if you practice, I know I'm a broken record, but like if you've done enough practice and you're confident in your ability to make a cake, then people will be confident in it. Like this cake, for example, I don't know if VRL's still watching, the guy that it's for, but like he said to me, you know, you're the one with experience, you can do whatever you want basically. And he said, I want this flavour. To be fair, even with the flavour, he was like, what do you think is good? And that's because he trusts me to actually do the cake and be good at it. And the same with like the toppings, he said, do what you think will go with it, I don't mind. So it's nice to have customers that will completely put their trust in you, and you will get to that point. But I think it's definitely who you choose to do your orders for. You also get to a point where you can tell, whenever I get a message after a collection, I literally dread opening it. Honestly, I'm the same. I get Etsy reviews all the time, and I have 5 stars on Etsy, and I get reviews on a daily basis on Etsy, and every time my phone says you've got a review, I literally, my heart sinks. I'm like, is it bad? Even though I know that they're good, but I just worry. But yeah, you will get to the point where customers are confident in you, and you'll also get to the point where you can tell if a customer is a certain type of customer. So this isn't to be offensive or anything like that. It can literally be anyone. Nothing comes into it in terms of the actual person. It's more of a personality trait. But you'll be able to tell when you're messaging someone if they're going to be a more difficult customer or whether they're going to be a better customer. And sometimes, this is kind of a well-known thing between bakers, but sometimes you might get a customer and you think, you know what, I think that is going to be a difficult request and I would rather save myself the stress and not do it. And that's me being completely honest. Like, you will get orders like that where you're like, you know what, I'd rather not do it because it can be more stressful than it's worth. Like, if you think, right, it's a £50 cake, but if they absolutely hate it because they don't have any trust in me, then it's not going to be worth it, because you're going to have to worry about like refunds and like bad reviews. So yeah, I would just pick your customers wisely. You don't have to take every order, even though I pretty much do, but luckily all my customers are lovely. If any of you are watching this, I am not on about you guys, but yeah, you will get the odd person who can be difficult, and that is just life. But yeah, luckily, hopefully we don't get too many of them. Do you do this full-time now, fully self-employed, or do you still have a side/part-time job? I did have a care home job back in October. I did it for 2 months, and that was literally just to get a bit of savings before Christmas. But no, now I have been fully part-time since it's now 3 months, which is crazy. Yeah, fully full-time for 3 months. Yeah, and I absolutely love it. Do you think the brownie industry has been overwhelmed? The good thing about brownies and blondies is, although there are so many people doing it, it is so needed, because it is such it's such a staple, because someone might not like cake, but they might like brownies, and most of the time, 9 times out of 10, people like small treats rather than big ones. So you will get people that will want to get brownies instead of a cake. So I would definitely say that it's good that it's overwhelmed, because the fact that people still sell out means that they don't have the capacity to make for everyone. Because a lot of the big bakers that I like, they sell out all the time, and like I sell out, and obviously there isn't enough people to make for everyone. So it's good that more bakers are kind of up and coming, because then they can supply the demand. Right, I'm just trying to get this cake off of here, so I'm concentrating. it's on a non-slip mat, so it's always difficult to get off because the non-slip mat is meant to stop it from slipping. So I am just going to put this in the fridge and then I will be back with you. It's very heavy now that it has everything on it. Sorry guys, I was just manoeuvring the fridge to make sure everything fits in there. So the cake is done, so we're just letting it set. When did the idea to start sharing how to start a baking business first come about? It was more because I did the odd vlog about baking and everyone seemed to like it, so I thought maybe I should make it a regular thing. Because obviously I do YouTube, I have done for over a year, and when I started sharing stuff about me being a baker and all of that, it kind of blew up, and a lot of people enjoyed it, so that's why I've just continued. And like I say about doing like the lessons and stuff for kids and for adults, I like teaching people, so I think this is kind of my outlet for doing that until I become a teacher. But I would like to carry on doing YouTube for as long as I can think, because it is a nice outlet and I do like having this online community. So yeah, I think I just shared the odd video, and when people really liked it, I thought, okay, maybe I should be doing this more often, and that is now my niche on YouTube. So on Etsy, do you think business will drop dead when lockdown is over? I don't think so, because it goes without saying that people have got used to cakes and got used to postal brownies. So I think a lot of people yeah, so a lot of people are used to it. So now people are going, so say it's so confusing, but say you had a birthday cake, a professional one this year, but then next year your parents buy you one from Tesco's. Initially someone is going to go, well, I had a really nice professional cake last year and now I've got one from Tesco's which isn't as good quality or doesn't taste as good. So that's the thing, even though we're in lockdown, as soon as we come out of lockdown, people have got used to having the luxury of a nice cake to celebrate their birthday because they couldn't do anything else because of COVID. And now they're not going to go back, I think. If anything, I've had lots of people say that they wish they could have had a bigger cake because of COVID. Obviously, they couldn't have their friends round and stuff. And they were saying, well, maybe when we're out of COVID, I can then order something bigger. Or for my next birthday, I can order something bigger because we'll be out of COVID. So a lot of people have been saying that they want to order outside of COVID, so I don't think it will. Smaller companies that have started in the last few weeks, honestly, I couldn't say. I don't know, if I'm honest, whether people's businesses would fall flat. I mean, there's people that have been going for years and then because of COVID, they have completely stopped, and then I've started because of COVID, so it really just depends on the situation. I think I saw the question, but then it's gone, about selling gluten-free. You can, as long as your customers know that you don't, that's not the only thing you do, which mine do. I've done the odd gluten-free thing, but I don't kind of boast about it now. It's more if a customer requests it, then I would consider. but as long as it's the only thing that you're baking on that day, for one, because of contamination, so it would have to be the only thing that you're baking, because all of your bowls and everything need to be thoroughly cleaned, and then when you make the gluten-free one, you wouldn't have any contamination. So you could do it. Same goes for vegan. I make sure that it's the only thing that I'm making, or if I am doing like postals which are vegan, all of my labels on them say it is produced in a kitchen that handles milk, eggs, nuts, all of these products, but they are happy to buy it despite that, because I make sure that when I'm doing the vegan ones, I do them last. So what I do is I make all of the non-vegan brownies, and then I clean everything, like clean the whole kitchen, worktops, everything, wash everything up, and then I start on the vegan ones so that they are completely made separately, and like they go in the oven on their own, all of that. So I think you can do them, but it's just personal preference. And also you have to have different recipes for gluten-free, so it's whether someone has perfected that recipe, because gluten-free and vegan are hard. The only reason I do vegan is because I used to be vegan, so I know quite a few recipes, but that's why most people don't do it, because it is difficult in terms of like actually getting the recipe right. But I definitely do gluten-free things if people ask. I have done gluten-free cakes and brownies, but it is the only thing I make on that day. Congrats on nearly 3K. I know, I'm so excited. I think it's like 40 to go, 40 subscribers to go, which is absolutely crazy. But yeah, thank you to everyone like watching these lives, and everyone that subscribes and watches my other videos, because it honestly is amazing. And like I'm monetized now, which is again crazy. Didn't think that ever would happen, but yeah, thank you to everyone that watches, because it is lovely. I love making these videos. I think opening a shop one day scares me because of how much the rent is. To be fair, if you think is that why you want a shop, so you could sell brownies to the high street like Finch Bakery? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people now that kind of are a reincarnation of Finch Bakery. Finch Bakery does a lot of different things. I don't think I'd want to do that many, because that's why they have a warehouse. They don't make everything in the shop, because they have their warehouse where they can make stuff, and then they also have a shop kitchen, because they can't physically make the amount of stuff that they're selling, because there's so many different things. That's my kind of outlook on it. That might not be exactly right, because I don't know them, but that's what I'm assuming. So I wouldn't do that many different things, but I just like the idea of a shop, because I'm a very people person, which is why I quite like doing these lives and talking to you guys, because I think it's nice that people could walk in, they can get a coffee, they can get a cake, they can, I mean, without COVID, they could sit down and eat cake, and it's just a social thing. And then you will get regulars who will come there every week, and I just think it's a nice kind of community to have. So I do like the idea of a shop. And if you think about the rent, it's no different to renting a house. That's why I would like to buy my first house. So I just want to save as much as possible, because then you don't have the extortionate rent as well as renting a shop. You would have a mortgage, which at least you're paying off a mortgage, rather than renting and paying off someone else's mortgage, not your own. Would you expand to selling cookies? I am trying cookies tomorrow, so because it's my day off, or like half day off, because I'm doing postals. I'm doing cookies, and then I'm going to start doing postals for cookies, because I do postal brownies and postal blondies. But I want to start doing postal cookies as well, because I've seen the stuffed cookies which look really good, so I'm gonna start doing those. So it will be like boxes of 5 or 6 for about £15. That's kind of like the going rate for stuffed cookies. They're gonna have like toppings in them as well as on top, to make them like extra like overloaded cookies. So yeah, I just need to get a recipe together. So I'm hoping that I can do that in the next like week, because I tried a recipe before that I wasn't happy with, so I'm going to try another one tomorrow, which I think should be the one, hopefully. So, and I'm also doing cookies in my Easter boxes, so I'm going to use a similar recipe for those. Can you show a tour of the cake you made? I will. It's just in the fridge, because if I'm going to be like moving it around and showing you guys. I don't want to be wiggling it, so I want it to just set a little bit in the fridge so that I can then hold it up. I am probably going to put it in the corner where I usually take my photos, and then I can show you it, but there is an absolute bomb site on my worktop, so as we talk I'm going to start to clean this up because there's just like chocolate bags everywhere, sprinkle bags everywhere, so I need to put those away and then I can show you it because at the moment it looks very messy. Who is your inspiration? I mean, I take inspiration from a lot of people because I don't like to take exact ideas. So sometimes I do, you know, what do you call it? Where you take certain elements. So you might say, I will take the drip from that cake, like the drip style, or I'll take that stripe, like a striped drip cake. You might say, I like the stripes on that cake. I like the chocolates on that cake. So I take different elements on there. So yeah. But I would say I love Finch Bakery, but their stuff is very extravagant. I try and do like a toned down version of theirs because I love theirs, but I would like it a little bit more simple as well. So I like them. I like Bakeaholics. She is amazing and she's only 19, which is crazy. And she's also just got her own shop. Bakes by Geo, which is actually Georgia, but that's like her nickname on Instagram. She's really good. What butter do you use for buttercream? I use salted because it makes it not too sickly. Who else? Beauty Bakes is amazing. Leah Bakes, Joel Jacobs. Yeah, all of those are really, really good. Renting a house and a shop would be so hard, honestly. Imagine that double rent, because I mean, some places locally to me, they're not worth that much, but they charge that much because it's kind of like an up and coming town, so they might charge, I don't know, like £1,000 for a pretty new build but not that great flat. And I just think £1,000 for a flat, like I need a garden because I have a dog, and it's my dog, so I can't like fob it off on anyone. So I need to have a nice garden for them to run around in, and I need space as well because I need like a home bakery. I need an office. I have a bedroom. Obviously, I live with my parents, but I have a bedroom. I have this extension, and I also have the room upstairs. I have like a bit of room upstairs where I have 2 desks. So that is kind of like an office for me. So I need a lot of room. So that's why I need a house, because I would not fit everything in a flat. You do 6 for £10. It depends. These are going to be stuffed cookies, like the New York City ones. So they do, if you're not doing stuffed ones, then 6 for £10 might be a good working of your costs. But if they take you an hour and you might charge £8 to £10 an hourly rate, then that's not very much profit. So that's why I'm thinking 15, because they're stuffed cookies, so they're a bit bigger than standard cookies. They're like maybe that thick. They're quite thick and they've got like a filling in them. And also to make enough profit. And they're also postal, so they have to include fees because Etsy charges fees, so I include all of the fees in my prices. So it will also have that. £100 a week for a 3-storey, 3-bed house. Oh, I know. Like, I would love to have something like that. Yeah, that sounds really good. I have seen a few like village houses. I've got my eye on a few houses that are, it's like 10 minutes from my house, so it's not really a village because it is really close to town, like Aylesbury town, but it just means that there's some like shops local and stuff like that. So yeah, and they're quite reasonable. Obviously they're to buy, so I would need to have the deposit sorted, which I don't have yet, but I am kind of looking at houses that are like 2 to 3 bed because I need an office. Virel, stop sending me money. You're too kind. Thank you. That's really nice. I mean, you've already got a cake and you're giving me a tip. Thank you. That's really nice of you. I can't wait. Yeah, I'm very excited for you to get the cake as well, because I think it looks amazing, and it's probably going to taste really good as well. Well, it will taste good, but yeah, I'm very excited for you to have it. Mine are stuffed as well. Yeah, I mean, that might be the area thing coming into it a little bit. Like you said earlier about like charging less because of the area, but I would say also if you do postals, then you can charge more because there is no area on postals because anyone in the UK can buy them. So I would definitely recommend doing postals because you can charge more because anyone is buying them, and it also gets you known. I feel like the postals is another thing that's got me more well known because people have found me from my postals, and then a few of them have said, oh wow, you do cakes, I might drive to you and get you to make a cake. And they might drive, you know, an hour to 2 hours to get a cake from me. So yeah, I'm gonna start like putting stuff away, so if you see me opening drawers, that's why. But yeah, I would say postals is a good way to go because and also there's some people even not for postals, but like there's some people, someone in Manchester ordered from me a couple of days ago to get something locally to Aylesbury, but like they could have ordered from anyone else that's in Aylesbury, but they ordered from me. So yeah, I mean, you do get distant buyers. Like she's in Manchester and she found me, even though I'm not local to her. I'm local to her friend, but I'm not local to her. So yeah. Any more questions, fire them at me. It's only 10:30. We were on here until 12:30 last night, so we're going to be done early. I'm probably going to be completely finished and tidied up by about 11, so I'll probably watch a film. And I need to check when VRL's collecting the cake tomorrow, because then that'll be when I get up and everything, but I haven't got too much to do tomorrow, so... bakers you get inspiration from for recipes, not ones that I've actually kind of kept on my menu, but ones that I've just made for fun and they have turned out well, is like Jane's Patisserie. She's good and she does a range of different things. Yeah, and then most others are recipes that I've adapted, because a lot of my recipes I rewrote, so I might have found a recipe but I've adapted the measurements or the timings, and some of them I've taken ingredients out if I thought they weren't necessary, things like baking soda and baking powder. I've posted cookies, but I always prefer customers to eat the cookies the same day so they're fresh. Brownies more popular for me and last a lot longer. I mean, it is personal preference, but I mean, I like people to eat things as soon as possible. However, I've had brownies that have been delayed in the post. This was around Christmas when there were postal delays, and someone got their brownies 7 days afterwards and they said that they were amazing. And I wouldn't usually eat brownies on the 7th day, but people have received them late and they say that they're absolutely fine. Obviously, all my postals last 10 days anyway. That's like the sell by that I put on them, but yeah, I don't normally expect people to eat them on the 7th day. Normally I'd expect them to arrive within 2 days, and then they would eat them straight away. So I think it is personal preference. I would say bake cookies, and then if you bake like half a batch where there's like 6 cookies, then you could eat one every day and see what they taste like each day, if that makes sense. So that's what I do with brownies. That's how I tested it. I left them for 2 weeks and I thought I would happily eat these at 2 weeks because they still tasted amazing. And this answers your question, Daniel, as well, like how do you determine the sell by? It's literally trial and error. The normal sell by that is kind of universal for most people is 2 weeks, but I ate them at 2 weeks, and even though I thought they were perfectly fine, I was thinking I'll put it a few days earlier because people might not necessarily take that sell by as the last day. It's a bit like when you get food from the shop. If it's things like vegetables or like sweet treats, you might think I'll eat it the day after. So I give it a few days before the like confirmed sell by, But yeah, I think that most things last quite a long time. But I've never, like with cookies, I'm going to try that because I'll have to figure out a new sell-by for when I do these postals. So most of my parcels, because I do tracked 48, they arrive within 2 days. They don't take any longer than that, because if they do, then I get money back, because, or like the customer gets money back, because they guarantee that it'll be with them within 48 hours. So any stories of things going horribly wrong? No. Yeah, I don't really know what to say on that one. Like, I've never had any crazy customers. I've never had any things go horribly wrong, which, touch wood, continues because I like it that way. But yeah, I've heard horror stories because, like I say, I'm in a lot of group chats, like baker group chats, and so many bakers say, like, you know, the customer put the cake on the chair and then they called me when they got home and said that it was completely smashed to pieces and they want all their money back. And I think to myself, that would be my worst nightmare. So now I take photos of cake boxes, so I have a little note on them saying it needs to be stored this way, it needs to be travelled this way, and then I take a photo of it with the cake so that I know that they were given that, and that will be my kind of proof that they got that. Is that sell-by stored in the fridge? Yes, and that's what I advise on the box. So it says the sell-by is this date, please store in the fridge until half an hour before you want to eat it, because they will go quite firm. But because mine are quite fudgy, you take them out half an hour before and then they're perfectly like nice and gooey to eat. Brownies go dry when cut and put in the fridge. I find it hard knowing how to store them when they're uncut. It's always in the fridge for me. Even when they're cut, I always put them in the fridge. I think, again, it depends on the recipe. If your brownies are... hello to anyone new joining. I've just seen a few people joining. We've just finished decorating a cake for anyone joining. So if you stick around for a little bit, I will be showing you the cake finished. But you can watch the live in a few hours when it becomes available on my channel and re-watch the whole decorating process. But yeah, when they're uncut and when they're cut, I cling film them and put them in the fridge. I don't put them in sealed containers just because it's a bit of a pain because of the size of the brownies, but I always cling film them, do a couple of wraps around them, and that's perfectly fine for me. Yeah, that's kind of how I store them. They go in boxes once they're all packaged, but when they're like being cut and being decorated, then they're cling filmed. But I did a market and I baked it all on the Wednesday, and it was for the Saturday, and they were all like tray bakes, and then I cut them the day before, but they were all stored in the fridge, no cling film, because there were so many trays that I just put a sheet of baking paper in between them all, and I never had any issues with drying out. So again, I think if you cook your brownies for longer, because I said this in yesterday's video, but there is a very fine line between being undercooked and being fudgy with blondies, and brownies are similar but they're easier. So if you undercook them slightly, they're not undercooked because they are perfectly edible, but if you cook them for less than some people, then they will be more gooey and fudgy, and then if you cook them for longer, they'll be more of a cake. I do the kind of in between where they're fudgy but they're also not kind of too soft, because like I say, there is a fine line between being undercooked. And I mean, I see some people's brownies and I think, oh, I think that's a bit too fudgy. For my personal preference, I wouldn't make them that fudgy, just because I worry about giving people food poisoning, because it is very difficult, especially with blondies. Blondies are harder because if you want them to be fudgy, because they're not chocolatey, people want them to be fudgy, but because they are not chocolatey, they can taste a little bit undercooked if they are too fudgy. So I go for more of a cakey blondie. That's my personal preference. What is your favourite brownie blondie flavour? Blondie has to be Jammy Dodger. Absolutely love it. I love the raspberry jam. It gives such a nice kick. So yeah, Jammy Dodger for the blondie. And then I would say for the brownie, I'm just looking through my drawer because I love all of the flavours. It's one of those things where I don't put a flavour on there that I don't like anything else. If I won't eat it, then I won't put it on there. Probably maybe either caramel, so whether that is Freddo caramel or dairy milk caramel, or chocolate orange. That's what I was thinking of. Chocolate orange is a really nice one. A new one that I'm doing, which I'm very excited about, is Lindor. So I had some spare brownie mix the other day, and I made a Lindor brownie. And because Lindor, or Lindt, depending on what you refer to it as, because it is such a luxury chocolate and it's so smooth and creamy, it tasted amazing. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be bringing this to the menu. I just need to get some photos of it because I ate it all before I got any photos. But yeah, I really, really like the Lindor. That is my new favourite. Don't you put melted chocolate in blondies? That is typically the flavour. Most blondies are white chocolate flavoured, because if you don't put anything in a blondie, say you did no flavour, then it would just taste of nothing. Whereas a brownie, because it is dark chocolate based, then if you don't put anything in it, it will still taste chocolatey. So that's the difficulty with blondies. So most people do white chocolate. You can do, so I have a Blondie, which is a blondie with brownie pieces in it, which I absolutely love. And that has milk chocolate in it rather than white chocolate. But most of my other recipes is white chocolate. Blondies are a nightmare. Has to be fudgy for me. They cook better in foil trays. I agree. I prefer them fudgy, but for postals and for like customers, obviously, like for me, I would have them fudgy, but I just worry that they'll be a little bit undercooked. So I go for an in-between. They are fudgy, but they're slightly more cakey in terms of how they rise. It just means that because they've got more air in them, they're less likely to be undercooked, because it's not, God, I'm like knocking everything over. Because they're a little bit airy based on the rising, it means that the inside is more likely to cook, if that makes sense. So say if a cake doesn't rise, then it's going to be undercooked because it hasn't risen to bake the inside. So that's why I go for a more cakey blondie mix, because then it allows the middle to cook properly. But you still get a bit of fudginess, but not as much as some people. But like I say, I would prefer it to do that way, just because when you're making so many, it means that you don't have to worry about them being undercooked. Oh my god, Lindor sounds insane. Honestly, it is amazing. And you can buy Lindor mint, you can buy Lindor orange. So I was gonna do like all of them basically. And the salted caramel, because someone had salted caramel on the cake yesterday that I made on the live, I tried one and honestly it was amazing. So I do love the salted caramel. What are your opinions on the whitener? Is this a Wilton whitener? If you are on about that, it is great. And how to make buttercream white, again, Wilton whitener. It's really hard to get hold of, and it goes out of stock really quickly. It's like a crown jewel. No one can ever get hold of it. I managed to get 2 bottles of it a couple of months back, and now I've run out. But I am trying to find some because that is what I use to make my buttercream white. I have been using Colour Mill, the one I bought from Amazon. I haven't used this yet because my Colour Mill came after, like before I needed to use it. I did use this in some chocolate today, in some white chocolate, and it worked perfectly. So yeah, this sugar white, because it's a powder, I think you need to, if you put milk in your buttercream or if you put water in it, you need to mix it with that, because it's a powder. So if you put it directly into your buttercream, then it might go a bit lumpy. That's what I've heard anyway. But yeah, I'm going to do a proper test of it in some buttercream over the next week. And then when you mention about buttercream being white, the Wilton whitener is really good. And also just beating the butter for ages. I put the butter in the bowl, no icing sugar, and I honestly just leave it. And then I walk off, I go and do some washing up, I, you know, go and do anything else. and then I come back like 15 minutes later and the butter is really white, and then it means that when you add the icing sugar, it is in turn gonna get white. Do you do low fat cake range? Unfortunately not. It is something I don't know enough about, and if I don't know enough about something, then I wouldn't want to do it. I have been asked about doing like low sugar, anything like that, but I don't know enough about it, if I'm honest, so I couldn't do it because I'd worry that I would use an ingredient that's wrong or that shouldn't be, you know, like when people are diabetic and they need low sugar, yeah, I'd be worried that I would just give someone the wrong thing, so I'd rather not do it, because there are people out there that will do, you know, like gluten-free, low sugar, all of that, so I might as well just leave it to them. Right, any more questions? I will get the cake out in a minute. I'm just doing a little bit of tidying first so that I can then put it on the side and it won't be all messy. Oh yeah, you can. Yeah. My sister's just come in, so she wanted to go to the fridge. I'm not keeping the kitchen hostage. Right. Have you got many orders for next week? I've got postals and I've also got something for next weekend. I can't remember because my head runs about 1,000 miles an hour. I can't remember whether it's a cake or it's I think I have a cake for the 7th, which is next weekend, I think. Yeah, I definitely have something on next weekend, and I have postals every week. I do postals every week, 3 times a week. I have 4 boxes for Monday, and it's still open for another 2 days, so if anyone does want a postal, then go on to my Etsy and my website, which I think should be in the description. But yeah, and then once Monday is gone, then it'll be Tuesday, and then Thursday is my postal. So I usually have about 15 postals a week, if it's not an occasion. Obviously for like Valentine's and stuff, I had about 30 to 40. So yeah, at the moment, and also I've been getting a lot of last minute orders. Like a lot of the cakes that I've done this month, because I've done 10 cakes this month, a lot of them were about a week's notice, which I don't mind, absolutely don't mind, but it's because obviously COVID, people don't want to necessarily book something if they don't know that they can see anyone, or that they can kind of have birthday celebrations. So yeah, but also I kind of want to keep next week free because I need to do Easter stuff. I need to do these Easter eggs, like the half egg with the brownie mix in it. I need to do these cookies for postals. Yeah, I have so much to do, so I don't actually have time to take on any more orders. So I quite like when I have a bit of free time, because then I can do bits with it, and kind of, I always use my free time. I don't just kind of sit around. I always use my free time to like practice new recipes while I've got that free time, because then it means that when I go back to work in it means that I've got some new recipes and things. Right. I've saved myself some Lindor because I want to eat some of them. Also, if anyone has a Tesco's near them, this stuff is amazing. It's red velvet dust, and it's £1, and it's so nice on like brownies, blondies, cake pops. It's literally like sprinkles, but it's so finely done that it looks really nice. I'm just putting all my sprinkles away in my little pots that I got from Wilko's. And then we will get the cake out for the big reveal. Just moving some stuff around so that I will be able to put it where I want to put it. I'm going to take the non-slip mat off so that it looks pretty. Right, I think I might take photos after we finish the live as well, so I'll prep it. Right, I'm going to get the cake out and then I'm going to turn you round and I'll show you it in the corner. We are finished. So, VRL, please, you're too kind. giving me more tips. Thank you. Right, we're gonna turn you around and you're gonna see the cake. I'm gonna move my ring light so that you can get a nice lighting on it. Oh, it looks amazing if I say so myself. Right, let's turn you around. My camera is really blurry, so let me wipe it. Right. I don't know why it's so blurry. There we go. That's a little bit better. I'm hoping that you can see that well. Maybe it's the lighting. I think it might be. Right. So, I'm going to move it a little bit forward so that we can turn it. So, as you can see, all the ombre, and there's magic stars and chocolate buttons around the bottom there. Chocolate orange, chocolate fingers, and then there's his name. Do you like it, VRL? Thank you. And then there's the topper on top. And if I move you a little bit closer, we've got some lint on the top, we've got sprinkles, we've got 2 bottles, so there's Jägermeister and Red Label for anyone that actually drinks. If you're too young, then you won't know. Then we've got Malibu and Bailey's on the bottom. So yeah, and then the chocolates on the top. So yes, I absolutely love it. So I'm hoping that you guys do too. Oh, it looks stunning. Thank you so much. I'm glad. The topper is so shiny that it's shining on the light, but I absolutely love it. So I'm going to get some photos of it. I'm going to turn you back around because we're nearly done. So if anyone has any last minute questions, let me know before we sign off. But this is the finished result. So if anyone's just joining, this is what we did in the live. So if you want to see how I did it, then just go back and watch the live when it's available and you can see what I did and how I did it, etc. So yeah, this is what it looks like. And we've been here 200 minutes. So what is that? Nearly 3 hours? That is crazy. When's the next live? I will be doing one every Friday at least, and then hopefully I will be doing more than one a week, but at the moment it will be Fridays, I think. But if I feel like it, I might come on again during the week on a day that I'm not usually uploading, which is usually like Wednesday and Thursday. I don't upload anything, so maybe I'll come on then. I'm going to turn you round. So yeah, I will probably do another one on... turn that light off. I'll probably do another one on maybe Wednesday. But yeah, if you want me to do a Q&A, maybe we could do that, and then people can just come on and ask me questions throughout the whole thing, and you'll have my full attention because obviously I won't be doing anything at the same time. But yeah, and I think I'm going to do another daily vlog maybe next week when I'm trying out recipes. So maybe I'll post that next week as well. Come over and have a bite. I know, if only. Yeah, I do. I love cake. But yeah, well, I hope you enjoy VRL because a lot of blood, sweat and tears went into it, but I absolutely loved making it. So here's a last look. Eee, I love it so much. But yeah, if you like the cake, then give it a thumbs up. I think I deserve a thumbs up for this cake. I don't know why there's such a shine. I think it's the lighting in here. There we go. A little bit better. But yeah, if you like the cake, then give it a thumbs up and then let me know in the chat as well. I'm glad you like it or love it, VRL. I'm hoping that you have a lovely birthday. VRL, you're way too nice. You keep sending me gifts. Thank you so much. That is so kind. I got cake drums from Cake Decorating Company. I didn't realise how small a 6-inch was. Thankfully, I got bigger ones from Dunelm that I was able to pick up. Yeah, to be fair, the 6-inch ones are small because I use 7-inch for a 4-inch cake. So, yeah, it just depends. But I use something that's 3 inches bigger. So, yeah, that would be quite small. But if you want one that is exactly the same as the size of the cake, then obviously you could. But also you want to remember that, like, if I put this on a 6-inch board, even though it's a 6-inch cake, as soon as you start putting the buttercream on it, obviously that probably adds about an inch to the cake size, like the width, because I like my buttercream quite thick. So yeah, you want to buy a board that's bigger just in case you end up making it a bit thicker. So yes, one last tour for anyone that is new. But we have top of the cake, which has Lindor, chocolate orange. Oh, there's Freddo at the back, which I forgot to mention. There's a few Freddos. Sprinkles, chocolate fingers, chocolate buttons, magic stars. Then we have Malibu Baileys and a card topper, which was made on the Cricut. And there's also a card topper at the top of here. And then as we go round, there is more chocolates on the back. And I mean, the cake board is completely edible as well. The card toppers aren't, but you could eat all the buttercream on the board if you really wanted to. So that is the best part about doing a covered board. So yes, I am gonna turn you round and just sign off, but we are going to finish now. So it is 10:57. So as I said, I was going to log off at 11 so that I can clean up. I'm probably going to do the washing up in the morning, if I'm completely honest. I'm going to put away any like rubbish that can go in the bin, but anything that is washing up I think I'm going to do in the morning, because I do not want to do that now. And I don't have really any baking to do tomorrow, just a few postals, so it means that I can do all of the washing up, which is my least favourite bit. And sometimes if I leave it long enough, then my dad will do it, so he's my washer-upper most of the time when he's not working. So yeah, that is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to pack up. I hope you guys enjoyed the live, and I will be doing them more often. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and VRL, thank you for all of the gifts because you are way too kind, and I will see you tomorrow to collect your cake. I will message you because I'm not sure when you want to collect it, so I will message you to double check when you want to collect it, because then I can decide when to get up and everything. So yeah, I will message you about that because I know that you're still here. But everyone else, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next vlog or live or video. So yeah, but there will be a new video tomorrow, a sit down one, not a live, and then I'll probably go live maybe Wednesday next week, and then there'll be another video Sunday, Tuesday and Friday next week, and then Sunday again. So yeah, there will be 3 videos next week. So yeah, I know, bye everyone. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video or live. Bye. Now I need to figure out how to turn you guys off. So I will see you later.